All right, you and I are about to watch Aquarius, one of the most gorgeous and powerful zodiac saints, absolutely trembling with fear because if he returns, they are all dead. Just a few days ago, Yang Wei, the Aries saint, who was considered ultra powerful, got obliterated by a man who shouldn't even exist. It was a completely one sided beatdown. And if someone of his elite level couldn't do anything, it means the culprit must be another of the 12. But who would do such a thing? Our main character finishes off Yang, thanking him for the power boost, since he still has 10 targets left. The 12 zodiac saints represented the very peak of human strength handpicked by the gods themselves to protect humanity. But none of them actually wanted to wipe out the monsters, fearing they would lose their fame and privileges. Their plan was always to do the bare minimum. But among those 12, one man had a very different idea. Legion was by far the strongest of them, a battle junkie who genuinely wanted to end the war. So when they gathered for the hardest mission, the Crimson Eye, everyone trembled, calling it impossible, while Aquarius literally wet her pants in sheer terror. Meanwhile, Li Jun faced the boss head-on and charged straight into battle, calling out for backup. Now pay close attention here, because when he looked back, everyone was fleeing, leaving him to face the boss completely alone. And so an endless battle began. Legion had no idea of the absurd number of monsters waiting for him. Time kept ticking away. As he fought, he wondered if anyone would ever return, even if just to check if he was still alive. With no options left, he survived for 2 decades inside that nightmare dungeon, losing an arm before finally reaching the final boss. But the moment he defeated it, the entire dungeon began to collapse. Buried alive under the rubble, he thought this was his bitter end. His betrayers were probably living luxury lives while he died abandoned. That was the end of Legion. Years later, calamities have left the city in ruins. 2 young survivors are running for their lives. One of them screams, "Hurry up! Didn't I tell you not to come this way?" The other snaps back, "How was I supposed to know? Today was supposed to be safe. Who could have predicted a high-tier calamity?" A terrifying horned beast and a pack of monsters are right on their heels, causing one of them to burst into tears. "We are dead meat. The fortune teller warned me I would face a monster today. I should have listened." Suddenly, one of the beasts leaps and crashes right between them, forcing the 2 friends to split up. One falls to the ground weeping while the other gets surrounded, muttering, "Damn it, if Ligam had survived the Devil's Tower, this would be nothing." He looks up at the massive Devil's Tower, the exact place Ligam entered years ago, alongside the 12 saints. But just when all hope seems lost, you and I need to watch this. The massive doors burst open, releasing a blinding, explosive light. The boys shield their eyes from the shockwave. When the dust settles, the aftermath of the massive tower blast is clear. "Hey, what just happened?" "I do not know, Jimmy, but look, there's a human walking out of those ruins." A human, they cannot believe their eyes. In the distance, through the heavy dust, a solitary figure stands tall. "How dare those bastards betray me and leave me trapped like that? They are dead. I am coming for every single one of them." Still half buried in the dirt, the boys can only wonder what just happened and who this mysterious guy is. Our main character casually steps forward and crushes a monster's head, leaving the boys shocked, since these are orange-class threats. The kind of beast that even high-rank, awakened hunters struggle to defeat. But to him, they are nothing more than ants. Ligam grabs the remaining beasts with a smirk, standing tall over the enemies he has already completely obliterated. He glances over and vanishes into thin air, reappearing right in front of the boys and leaving them frozen in sheer shock. They scramble back, crying out, "Wait, do not hurt us. Please spare our lives." Ligam stops asking, "Wait, are you humans?" Perfect. So the path ahead is finally clear, right? They both sigh in deep relief, glad to be alive. "Did you see that guy walk right out of the tower? That is crazy." The other shakes his head. "What are you talking about? Nobody survives that place. He probably got caught in an accident and ended up here when the tower crumbled down." But as they talk, a massive shadow looms right behind them. They freeze. Another beast is staring directly at them. Our main character turns around completely unfazed. One of the boys panics, screaming, "Impossible." That is the boss wolf run. Meanwhile, he just stares at the beast without a care. Suddenly, the giant wolf starts gathering destructive energy in its mouth. An instant later, it fires a devastating energy beam straight at them. The boys can only brace themselves for the end. Now you and I can see the blast wiped out everything. When the dust clears, they wonder, did he actually protect us? Our main character mutters a quick curse, leaps forward, and absolutely crushes the massive boss wolf with just one hand. Come along with me, as this crazy guy calls a giant wolf boss a mangy dog and vaporizes him with one single punch. These 2 rookies are left completely speechless as our main character lands with a smirk, leaving the entire area totally decimated around him. With the boss dead, he stands there perfectly calm, looking down at the kids who cannot stop thanking him for saving their lives. Just when they think it is over, he suddenly calls out to them, making them jump in terror as they answer immediately. He orders them to buy him food because he is starving, and seeing their confused faces awkwardly adds that he also needs some clothes. He seriously needs a new outfit. The scene cuts to them sitting inside a small local restaurant. As our main character devours plate after plate, the two rookies stare at the growing bill in absolute horror. He ate 10,000 reis worth of food, enough to feed 120 people, and casually claims he actually holding back. Are you kidding me? One of them screams in total confusion, asking what he could possibly mean by that. Did they not literally promise to pay for whatever he wanted after he saved their lives from certain death? He orders another plate of food, but they interrupt him in panic, crying out that they do not have a single penny left. They ask if he's a disciple or a divine captain and what he was doing near the tower. He just stares, utterly clueless. I just walked out of the tower and bumped into you. They freeze up, processing that he literally just climbed out of there. Now pay attention here, because this is where things get interesting. How can a normal-looking guy possess such massive magic power? One of them mentions being a disciple and asks our main character if he belongs to the same rank. He is talking about awakening thanks to a god. Hearing this, our hero scoffed, asking why he would ever thank those bastards. But he suddenly freezes after catching his own reflection in a spoon. Utterly shocked, he demands a mirror right this second. A waiter points to one, and he dashes over so fast that he completely knocks over everything sitting on the table. He rips his shirt off, staring at his own face in disbelief. Has his body fully recovered? He cannot believe his eyes. He vividly remembers how broken he was inside that tower, covered in scars, missing flesh, and with half his head literally destroyed. Healing those injuries was practically impossible without risking his entire power. But then, he suddenly spots another shocking detail. His left arm is completely back, and what is the meaning of that strange, circular, snake-like mark on his hand? Suddenly, the symbol glows intensely, and an agonizing pain hits him, making his veins bulge as he desperately clutches his arm. You and I saw this coming, right? System windows start popping up announcing his resurrection through an impossible achievement. His previous stats are transferring to his brand new body, and all his past achievements in the tower are turning into experience points. He has acquired a divine skill. All his previous traits and abilities have been fully inherited, letting him wield the great power of Fucus. The glowing mark of a massive serpent manifests right behind his back as the intense pain continues to torture him. Suddenly, his consciousness begins to slip away, transporting him straight to a completely unknown space. He stares at his spiritual sea floating amidst infinite galaxies, and right in front of him, a colossal serpent watches him intently. Our hero slowly reaches out his hand, and upon making contact, a divine flash erupts. Suddenly, he is back in the diner, wondering what just happened. What on earth was that? One of the boys runs over, asking him if he's doing okay. They call him Ryang, but his real name is Leong. Still shaken by what just occurred, he asks them in total confusion, "Did you guys not see that giant snake just now?" They look at him completely blankly, saying they saw absolutely nothing. "We just saw you stand up strip in front of the mirror, clench your fists, and yell like a total lunatic in the middle of the restaurant, so other people cannot see it." Our main character thinks to himself while staring intently down at his own hand. Meanwhile, the rookies watch him, thinking he is getting weirder by the second. Suddenly, he feels a surge of that mysterious energy. Another system window floats up right in front of his eyes, notifying him that he has now become the absolute master of Fucus. Leong 13th, seat of the gods and ruler of the throne of Fucus, his awakened title, the man who crushes all creation. The new windows reveal he has gained absolute super regeneration to heal any damage, but with a temporary penalty that cuts his physical stats by 50%. Remaining time 10 hours. This drastic physical change is due to his new skill. He has never heard of anything like this from the other saints. Plus, he cannot sense any trace of a god. Whatever the case, his body is fully healed, so that is a huge win. The big question now is what path to choose. Suddenly, he remembers the exact bastards who betrayed him and left him to die before the boss. Right now, he only wants one thing: to completely eliminate every single one of those saints who dared to stab him in the back. Thinking of what he will do to those bastards gets him excited, and trust me, you and I would be just as terrified as that poor rookie. Get ready, because you and I are diving into a story that kicks off with a massive explosion. Someone in the crowd asks if the indestructible Devil's Tower really collapsed. Another replies that yes, the entire world is going crazy because that tower was their ultimate symbol. People wonder if Legol's followers or rival disciples did this, while someone else points at nearby beasts. High-ranking saints would struggle against monsters like those. Who could wipe them out and destroy the tower. Then comes the ultimate question, could Leong have survived and returned? But the answer is simple. Nobody knows for sure, but the vibe is completely off. Next, we cut to a building packed with reporters. Camera flashes explode as reporters shout, begging Yang Wei to tell them what actually happened. Is there any chance Leong is still alive? The burly man from before stays completely silent, just watching them. His name is Yang Wei, the legendary saint of the Aries constellation. He snaps that he has no comment, turning away, visibly annoyed, while the crowd continues to scream at him. No comment, really? Back in his car, the guy absolutely loses it and starts smashing everything in sight. Damn you, Leong. Leong, Leong, Leong. The entire freaking world only cares about that bastard. I cannot even count how many times I have heard his name today. Could he really be breathing? He remembers our main character's broken body and wonders how anyone could survive 20 years inside that tower. No, it is impossible. Thousands of demonic beasts were trapped in there, and every single one was top tier. It was already a miracle they escaped alive after slaying the terrifying Scarlet Eyes. How on earth could he survive? His body was already torn apart by the backfire of his own power. And unlike them, he had zero divine protection. But wait, what if he actually returned from the dead? He tries to calm down, but if Leong is back, his reign is over. Now watch closely as our hero checks his phone with a cold smile. First, I am going to ruin that trash. Right after that, we cut straight to an airport. As a private jet lands, a man steps off and someone immediately steps up to welcome him. It is an honor to meet one of the 12 constellations, Mr. Hugo Otter, the blonde guy who once shared fried chicken with our protagonist. Dressed in a flawless suit, we learn he is the official representative of the Sagittarius constellation. He asks about the Prime Minister, and they reply that he is waiting at his private residence. Your car is ready over there? All right, let us go. People nearby whisper about how amazing he looks. To them, this is what a true chosen one looks like. Once inside the car, Hugo looks pensive. Suddenly, his phone vibrates with reporter calls. I bet you would also get sick of these absurd rumors about Leong being alive, right? It has already been over 20 years. He takes the phone, stares at it, and remembers. A past warning flashes through his mind. You will die tomorrow. Then he remembers our hero smiling with a bloodied face, saying, Tasuki, why do you have so little faith in me? When we raided the Devil's Tower, I went to fight the disaster beasts outside because Leong asked me to. I hoped my premonition would fail and John would return safe, but he showed up badly hurt, asking what happened. The saints who entered with the hero abandoned him to die, bringing back only the head of Scarlet Eyes. Thanks to that historic achievement, the 12 saints, including myself, were worshipped as heroes and gained massive power. In the hospital, he refused to accept John was dead, so he demanded they look for him, but a greedy bastard cut him off, saying it was already too late. It was Gilui Morang, the cancer saint. He reminded him how many disasters came from that tower, calling him foolish for believing Jian lived. Then he coldly told him that if he cared so much, he should go look for the protagonist himself. But if he did, the number of active saints would drop to 11. Hugo could only stand there frustrated and helpless. Back in the present, he remains lost in thought, repeating to himself that no matter how strong John was, survival was impossible. And after all this time, it was simply too late. Just then, an aide tells him the Prime Minister is calling. The incoming call flashes on his screen. Hugo answers, and the Prime Minister quickly asks if he can hear him clearly. He asks if he saw the news about the Devil's Tower collapsing, but Hugo brushes it off as the usual media nonsense. He apologizes, warning that if this is about finding Jian, he refuses. What do you think happens next? You and I are diving into this crazy story where everyone thinks our main character died in the Demon Tower while his followers run wild. Just when he thought they were only using this to win votes, the Prime Minister cut him off. It was not that. He said, South Korea received urgent news because that specific line just rang. Hugo stopped totally confused. What line was he talking about? The private line, made exclusively for Jian. Hearing this, Hugo completely froze, screamed, asking if it was real, and hit the driver in pure panic. Stop the car right now. The driver immediately obeyed. He slammed on the brakes. Right then, Hugo connected the dots. Maybe that strange call from earlier had everything to do with this. His phone had 30 missed calls and a text. Seeing it made him turn pale, and he called back without a second thought. Pay close attention here because when he picks up a voice says, Hey, Tyson, I will find you and kill you, that froze Hugo instantly. Then he smiled in absolute disbelief. With that incredibly unique way of speaking, it really could be him. He ordered a U-turn to head straight back to the airport. The driver hesitated due to his schedule, but Hugo snapped and demanded the airport now. Back at the small shop, John jokes that Tyson has grown up quite a bit and even knows how to use a phone now. One of the kids asks who he was calling, and he casually responds that it was just some random guy. Then he looks at the device, commenting that modern cell phones are actually pretty interesting to look at. He entered the tower in 2005, and by 2025, the world had changed too much. The kid cannot believe this is his first time using one. He explains that he can use it to surf the internet, check the news, and also watch videos. John gets excited by the idea, wanting to search for news about himself to see what is trending these days. A ton of articles pop up on the screen. Our main character reads them silently while the kid watches in awe. Then he notices the comments. Some say it is impossible that he returned. Others insist that if he were actually alive, he would rule the world, while someone else calls him trash, compared to the 12 saints sparking a brutal war of insults. I bet you can already picture the chaos. Our main character gets so furious he almost destroys the phone while the poor kid desperately begs him not to break it. He is furious that those bastards are getting credit for defeating Scarlet Eyes. Back then, they were terrified, and now they blame him for everything. He tries to brush it off, saying nothing changes for him, but suddenly he remembers a very important detail. That thought stops him dead in his tracks. He searches deeper and finds a special report about what happened after his supposed death. Back then, the main character decided to donate all his assets to orphanages and school foundations if he passed away. Searching to see if that actually happened, he only finds news saying the 12 saints mourned his death and praised his great sacrifice. They also claim he left them all of his belongings, including his relics, so his desire to save the world could continue. All 12 saints accepted it, except for Hugo the Sagittarius saint. So basically, those bastards stole absolutely everything from him. The main character explodes with rage, destroys the kid's phone, and swears to obliterate them all, including their useless god. The poor kid cries on the floor over his broken phone while our main character thanks the device for its service. At least his history got cleared. Meanwhile, John analyzes what his next move should be if he wants people to know about his return. His current face looks nothing like it did 20 years ago. Even if he screamed who he was, everyone would just think he was crazy. So until he can torture every single one of those damn saints, keeping quiet is best. The kid is still crying when a system window pops up. It warns him, be careful. Someone is staring right at you. A red mist begins to surround him, and John instantly recognizes that energy. As he stands up, the frightened kid asks where he's going. The main character only replies that he's going out for some fresh air. Outside, strange flaming goats and horrible flying monsters appear. He recognizes them instantly. They are Avatar's minions from the Ares sanctuary, and the system interface confirms it right away. These creatures erect a barrier in the name of Ares, completely weakening the influence of all other constellations. They demand that he hand over a tribute. John clicks his tongue in annoyance. Those bastards serve the gods, but humans always pay the price. He cracks his knuckles preparing to fight, but suddenly someone next to him starts complaining loudly. Lee Gun. Lee Gun, seriously. The guy says he has heard so many stories about John that he is sick of hearing his name. They were talking trash about our main character right to his face. His companion joins the complaining, whining that the news keeps talking about the same thing and that she is also sick of it. He just stares blankly at them. He wonders why there is so much attention on a ghost of the past, and trust me, what you and I are about to discover together changes everything. Look at that badge on his shirt. Today, you and I are going to watch our main character absolutely humiliate these Gemini temple punks. One of the kids quickly begs John to back away. He warns him not to cause trouble, but our main character just keeps staring. The guy notices, barks at him to get lost, and the kids completely panic, thinking it is all over. The man puffs on his cigarette, blowing smoke right into John's face. He sneers, telling him to do something about it if he has a problem. Before things escalate any further, the woman tries dragging him away, telling him to run before he wets himself. Yet the thug patronizingly pats his head with utter contempt. He keeps hurling insults while the woman giggles. Then he mocks them, asking why people even worship such a pathetic, weak saint. He even doubts our main character was ever a real saint. That completely snaps the last thread of our hero's patience. A kid nervously warns him they are rank A Gemini disciples, but he ignores it, calling them nothing but total cowards. The guy spins around, asking if that insult was meant for him. John fires back with something even worse, making it crystal clear. So the man gets right in his face, demanding he repeat it, furious that a normal human with 0 mana dares speak to him like that. He doesn't even bother to answer. He just gives him a light flick on the forehead. That tiny tap sends him flying unconscious, causing a massive explosion. Watch closely at how the woman's face freezes in sheer shock. The two kids cannot believe their eyes. John just smiles at the wreckage, while the woman is now trembling in absolute terror. Our main character confronts her, saying he already knew exactly what she was scheming behind his back. She had already charged up her fire magic to strike him from behind, but it was an entirely useless effort. Jan counters with another strike, sending her crashing through everything. She drops cold, leaving the young boys completely speechless. They ask how he can use active skills in the middle of the street, but John sets them straight. If he had used an actual skill, they would be dead. He took down those rank A disciples with his bare hands. Then he kneels down beside the guy to inspect his necklace. He rips it off, saying he felt something strange when hitting him. This is not a divine artifact. Why did these lowlifes have one? Only holy saints are supposed to possess them. Realizing John is completely clueless, one of the boys starts explaining. Decades ago, humanity almost went extinct from the calamities. They survived thanks to divine beings and the saints they chose. Since 12 people could not protect the whole world, the saints gathered followers and built grand divine temples. Those who received power from the saints and awakened became known as disciples. While he explains, look at that insane power on screen. Stick with me, because the power hierarchies here are totally wild. At the top are double S rank saints chosen by gods. Below them, the 10 double S rank stars the future saints. Next come the S rank divine captains, the absolute strongest disciples who lead everyone else. Then we have ranks A, B, and down. These divine beings actually grow stronger through the pure faith of their disciples. That is why temples host all kinds of public events and contests to draw more people into their ranks. The chosen ones receive gifts from the gods. As the explanation goes on, Jian stares at the treasures on display. He realizes all of this happened during the 20 years he was gone. Suddenly, someone yells for him to look. When John turns around, those weird goat figures show up again. At the exact same time, the system issues an alert. The House of Greed and Ares are loving the show. They want him to end the lives of both the man and woman. They want cold blood. They even promise a massive reward if he slays them both, making the kid panic instantly. He warns that John caught the attention of the gods' houses. They are basically the shadows of the divine beings. Going against them is like challenging the gods themselves. The kid begs him to obey, but John just smiles and talks back. He says he was wondering what the Yang family idiots were doing here, but now he finally understands everything. They were trying to feed that filthy pig. For real, that guy has not changed at all. Then John begins unleashing his raw power. Stomping his foot down a massive blue shockwave obliterates the entire area, blasting all of those floating goats away. The boys shield themselves from the blinding burst of light, and all that red smoke completely vanishes. How dare you defy me? The House of Ares flees as the barrier breaks. That Hyung is definitely not normal. Then John points to the thug on the ground and asks if he really was from Gemini. The answer is yes. They belong to the strongest divine temple in the country, an elite group packed with highly influential people. And that is where we leave it today. Our main character only cares about money, leaving the kid totally speechless at his greed. All right, you and I are about to dive into this crazy story where the enemy is absolutely loaded. Naturally, our main character goes straight for the loot, his absolute favorite part. Later that night, they finally arrive, and our main character complains about how the day dragged on forever. The kids show him where they live. One points to his second-floor apartment, while the other says he lives on the next block. They thank Jian for saving them and bringing them home safely. After that, they just stand there waiting around. John yawns, asking if they are ever going inside. He is seriously exhausted, and the next moment, they are already indoors. John slides his shirt off and starts cutting his own hair. When he finishes, he says he finally looks decent. Now his style is back. The boy looks on in awe, asking if he really cut it himself, making him feel slightly self-conscious. He explains that back then, the side effects of his powers made every single strand of hair incredibly precious. A gentle breeze could have made him go completely bald. It reminds him of how miserable and broken he looked before. He can barely believe his luck now. Even his hair is normal again. But suddenly he stops in his tracks. Watch closely here, because there is actually a calamity inside the house. He crushes the pest instantly, leaving the poor kid panicking. Normally, not even pros would kill these things barehanded. But more are coming, and John wonders why they are drawn to him. Someone asks if his aura is somehow attracting these calamities, but our main character immediately shuts down that theory. Usually, this means something in the house is drawing them in. As the kid stares, John blames the dark relics nearby. The kid protests, claiming they were gifts from a saint. Even if they are not his, he insists they are blessed. His response, smashing one right on the spot. The young man drops to the floor in absolute, utter despair. Meanwhile, our main character calls it disgusting. Pointing to the items, he explains that mask is a divine relic used for spying. The music box steals personal info and the clock literally attracts monsters. The poor kid is left looking completely devastated. John is furious. Those corrupt saints did not just steal his money, they are selling cursed relics and stealing data too. Just thinking about it makes him boil. Seeing the kid stunned, our angry main character orders him to throw everything out. But outside the door, someone has just arrived and hears all the shouting. Inside, John stands frozen as the boy clings to him, weeping. The newcomer walks in looking absolutely baffled by the scene. He asks who he is, and the nervous kid stammers Sungjiao. That instantly sets him off. He screams that he's the actual homeowner and unleashes his power. Come along with me now to the Ares sanctuary inside the massive Yang residence. He is shocked to hear the Korean avatars vanished. The report says their entire division is in absolute chaos. Yang refuses to believe it. Avatars serve the gods directly, so only an incredibly powerful awakened could ever defeat them. So he orders his men to contact the other saints, demanding to know if they had anything to do with this. They obey, but mention they still have not been able to get in touch with Hugo's sanctuary. Yang shrugs it off, assuming Hugo went to the United Kingdom to play mercenary. But then he hears Hugo changed course immediately. This makes Yang demand to know where he went. They say Korea, making Yang freeze. Hugo is close friends with Jian. Yang wonders if this connects to rumors of our main character surviving, remembering him as a horribly disfigured man from the past. Did he crawl back from the dead, damn? Refusing to believe it, he hurls a candelabra at an innocent servant, demanding they give him every single detail. They report finding a Gemini disciple knocked out cold on the street right where the avatar vanished. Witnesses say he fought an incredibly handsome man, a handsome guy. Hearing that, Yang assumes it cannot be Jian. The one he knew was completely disfigured. But still, everything is falling apart lately. It is highly possible he is back. For some reason, avatars in Korea are vanishing. Worse, they recently failed to defeat the Spider Queen as well. If this keeps up, Yang might lose his position. He instantly orders them to prep his private jet. They ask if he is going in person, and he nods. He needs to see this firsthand, heading out immediately. We shift back to Korea at a Gemini hospital. The guy who messed with John earlier is still knocked out cold. An angry old man demands to know who wrecked his grandson while the thug just lies there in his hospital bed. Someone tells him not to worry because the Gemini Sanctuary sent their president an S-class knight named Meng Hun. Back at the apartment, the newcomer asks if they spotted John at the Devil's Tower today. He learns that our main character fought those calamities barehanded, and the kid nods nervously before the next question hits. Did he actually defeat 2 A-rank monsters? The kid nods. Trust me, absolutely nothing makes sense to the homeowner now. Come with me as we watch Gion destroy every relic in the house, calmly claiming that everything he sees is fake. The furious redhead demands to know which sect our main character belongs to, but he just smirks, replying that he does not need one. The guy almost explodes and asks which god he serves, but he replies that he serves none of those idiot gods, only himself, and the arguing continues. What kind of awakened is he? He casually says, a simple worker, and then comes the final question, his name. He answers by using the hero's name. Hearing this, Sunjai starts gathering power, while the other guy tries to calm him. In vain, he is done listening. He broke into a house, destroyed relics, and now dares to use Gion's name while a massive aura rises behind him. He screams in rage, asking how he dares to imitate him. Jimmo yells that this is his house, asking if he plans to destroy everything. Pay close attention here. A system message pops up announcing that Gemini Temple's power is unleashed, and our main character gets excited. It seems he's going to analyze the whole place. Another floating screen appears, asking him to activate one of his skills. The skill focuses on Qian Sunjai, an A-rank awakened of the Gemini Temple. He has skills like S-rank stake and A-rank ice capsule. His traits are violent, genius, stubborn, obsessive, fanboy. His genius trait boosts his learning. Jian notices that Sunjai already summons powerful creatures at his young age, so that genius talent is not just for show. Meanwhile, Sunjai keeps buffing his giant summon. The other guy panics and screams at him to run away. He warns him that Qian Sunjai is an A-rank awakened from the Gemini Temple and a total fanboy of Gion. Then he yells at Jiwoo to get out of there too, unless he wants to get beaten up with him. While the guy keeps yelling, our main character suddenly appears behind him, warns him not to play with fire, and readies his finger. Right as he tries to turn around, our main character gives him a flick to the forehead and the guy goes flying. A moment later, the other kid freaks out, saying that idiot was going to burn down not just the house, but the entire building. By then, the kid in the back is still terrified, babbling away, while the redhead crashes to the floor, completely knocked out. The young man nervously asks if Qian Sunjai is dead, but Gion replies he was just knocked stupid by the blow. That only panics the kid more. Then we see the redhead has a massive bump on his forehead from that flick. He says he's going to sleep and the guy will wake up when he wakes up. Meanwhile, the kid keeps yelling if Sunjay is still alive. He tries to get some response from his friend, but the redhead just lies on the floor, foaming at the mouth. I know what you're thinking, but check this out. Jeon enters the bedroom only to find a ton of figures of himself. He stares blankly at them and asks what kind of nonsense this is. The kid reminds him that Sunjay is obsessed with Lee Jeon. Right at that moment, the redhead wakes up and screams furiously not to touch them so carelessly. They are his precious Lee Jeon collection worth more than his own life. Our main character walks over, rips the head off one, and says it's gross. Then he adds they should probably rip the heads off all of them, leaving the poor kid completely frozen in absolute shock. The redhead starts screaming for his precious figures and begs him to stop, but he keeps wrecking them without any mercy. He repeats that he already told them he is not some crazy guy, but Lee Jeon himself. The poor collector is crushed and weeps inconsolably. Next, the scene cuts to a cafe where someone is closely watching the news. The report says that yesterday 2 Gemini members were attacked by an unknown assailant who also stole all of their belongings. The one watching the report is Hugo. He immediately assumes this is Gion's doing and wonders what that idiot is up to now. He grumbles in annoyance that this is the very first news he gets right after arriving in Korea. A waitress asks what he would like to order, but as soon as Hugo looks at her, his face freezes and he tells Yang to stop playing games. She smiles, admitting he caught on quickly, revealing that a fat man is actually possessing the body of this poor woman. He says he could not contact Hugo, and guessing from his sudden trip to Korea, assumes he cares deeply about Lee Jeon. That tells him more than enough, so he demands Hugo tell him everything he knows about our main character. Annoyed Hugo replies that this is why he hates body snatchers and taps her, making the woman snap back to her senses. She asks in confusion what she is doing there. Hugo curses Yang's cheap tricks, knowing he must find Gion before anyone else does. He yells, wondering where on earth he could be. Next, the scene shifts over to a grocery store. The redhead and the other kid are out shopping, and the latter keeps insisting that maybe he really is the true hero. In the end, you and I know he is in for a massive surprise. All right, look at this. This guy swears he saw him walk out of the Devil's Tower with insane inhuman power. But the redhead cuts him off, insisting our main character is not Lee since his own father confirmed it. The other guy tries to bring up his dad, but the redhead shuts him down, again saying they should just pay. Suddenly, a woman screams from the back of the store about a thief. Both of them freeze curious about the commotion. Right then, someone dashes past them so fast that products fly off the shelves, and the grocery racks start shaking. That guy's the thief. The redhead instantly recognizes his crazy speed and realizes he is a Scorpio affiliate. He uses his power to snatch wallets and valuables across the store. This dude moves like lightning, ruining everything. As he flees, the thief confidently boasts that nobody can possibly catch him when he runs at this speed. Even if other affiliates are around, he does not care. He bragged about getting his loot and says it is time to bounce. But out of nowhere, boom, a devastating punch lands right in his ribs. It is John calmly telling him he is caught. The thief is in shock while the other guy asks in total confusion what the hell he is doing there. Our main character casually replies he came back because he forgot the chicken. The thief collapses in pain while bystanders gasp at Jian's strength. It is incredibly hard to catch a Scorpio affiliate because of their extreme speed. Even so, judging by his energy, they assume he is just an ordinary believer. They warn him to call the police next time. But watch closely, the cocky thief barely has time to react before something truly terrifying catches his eye. As he looks around, the entire supermarket starts shaking violently. The thief panics, thinking it is a massive earthquake. So he decides this is his perfect chance. He will use the chaos to flee, thinking he barely survived that weird guy. Luckily for him, this sudden shaking gave him a clear path to escape. Suddenly, the ground in front of him splits open, and a giant centipede emerges. The thief freezes at this massive calamity. He cannot believe a monster like this appeared in a safe green zone. He curses himself for not escaping sooner. Despite his fear, he tries to run, believing that no matter how strong the beast is, it can never outrun his speed. But as he grins, the beast strikes with its massive jaws. You can guess what happens, so let's see its true form. It is the exact same monster that the fat guy failed to capture before. It glares at everyone like mere prey, causing absolute panic in the market as it watches them with cold, lethal eyes. An announcement blares over the speakers, warning that this is not a drill sparking total chaos, as a calamity is confirmed. With civilians trapped inside, everyone is ordered to evacuate the building as quickly as possible. Due to the appearance of the Spider Queen, the market's danger level has been immediately raised to red zone. Then the beast releases a swarm of mini monsters. Some look like flies, others like centipedes scattering everywhere. A terrified kid is left behind crying as a creature lunges at him. But a green light flashes and John sends it flying. He obliterates it with one single punch, while the little kid watches totally shocked by his insane power. Our hero asks if he's okay and tells him to be careful. But once the kid looks closely, he gets scared and runs off without saying thanks. John just stands there slightly confused. Well, at least it looks like the kid is completely fine. He then wonders what kind of market has more dangerous monsters than actual shopping customers. After being away for so long, he decides it is time to warm up and draws his weapon as the scene cuts to a speeding car. Inside the car, the fat guy hears that a calamity attacked a market in Bushin. He acts indifferent at first, but then asks what type. Once he learns it is the Spider Queen, he is completely shocked. He curses, remembering they failed the last raid and barely sealed it. Now he fears it escaped and admits he cannot face a red-level calamity alone. Next, we learn that after calamities appeared, humanity classified them into 6 distinct threat levels. Blue is low danger. Green means safe. Yellow is alert. Orange means immediate evacuation because the threat is still rising. Red indicates the beasts have total control, and black means human survival is completely impossible. So with the Spider Queen loose, the market is officially a red zone. The driver then asks Yangi what they will do at the place. He thinks for a second and orders them to bury everything. The horrified driver begs him to repeat what he just said. Yang Wei insists on covering up the truth. If people find out they hid the raid's failure, causing more deaths, it will spark absolute chaos. Therefore, he orders everyone inside to be declared dead and sends affiliates to completely bury the building. And that's where we leave it as these monsters begin tearing the entire supermarket apart. All right, you and I are about to watch a bald guy try showing off freezing monsters while screaming not to underestimate an S rank. It really looks like this bald guy was sent by the old man to hunt down John. But even though the monsters freeze, they instantly break out and attack again. The bald guy cannot believe how easily they shattered his magic. Then John steps right in front of him carrying some cans like it is nothing and simply tells him to get lost. The bald guy has no idea how he even got there. Our main character looks at the beasts, noting they must be starving to hunt humans. Right then, Jian tosses one of his cans straight into the air. He catches it with lightning speed and a wild grin, shouting for them to eat this before chucking cans and destroying every beast. The creatures shriek in agony. One gets sliced clean in half as Jian tears through the rest without even breaking a sweat. Trash, you really think you can bare your fangs at me, grinning like a maniac? John clears the supermarket aisle by aisle. You losers need to learn your place. And Gemini's followers can only watch in absolute terror as John wipes them all out. Suddenly, the system screen floats up announcing he has defeated the calamities. Now pay attention, because his Zodiac experience rises, granting new production materials. But Jian has no clue what this system is about. A small crystal appears in his hand, as the system explains he can now craft incredible skills and legendary relics. His production skill has evolved. Jian decides he will test that out a bit later. For now, moving around like this feels great, even if his stats are at 50% due to the recovery penalty. Maybe he can unleash even more power now. Meanwhile, the bald guy stares at John, completely unable to believe his eyes. He cannot believe those S-rank calamities were destroyed so easily when he could not even slow them down. Then John speaks to Sunj. When did you grab that? John shows him the dagger he stole from their base, and the boy freezes, wondering where this freak came from. Our protagonist stays totally calm, but the bald guy suddenly screams that he already knew something was seriously off about him. So you were the one who attacked our men? That confuses John for a split second, recalling the fools he crushed earlier. But John just tells him to shut up and slaps him hard. The bald guy hits the ground, trembling from pure shock. Damn it, how did he find out? You know too much. How could I not know, you absolute idiot? Those clothes and that badge belong to us. And yeah, it turns out our protagonist was wearing Yang's outfit this whole time. Plus, you and I are looking at an S-rank relic exclusive to the Gemini faction. Sunj stares at the badge while the bald guy keeps screaming that this relic is why he is ridiculously strong. John glances at it, asking why he is wearing this gross trash before crushing it, as the bald guy calls him insane. This junk is useless, just a decoration. You were all fooled by the witch. The breathless man screams that this is blasphemy. He shakes his head, unable to believe this guy and the bartender are still acting like rebels after 20 years. While John talks to the bald guy, suddenly, a massive monster charges straight toward them. John's face grows serious. Sunj and the redhead point in terror as the Spider Queen crashes through, destroying everything. People scream in horror as pure chaos erupts. and the trembling bald guy stammers out the word Spider Queen. John instantly unleashes his powerful aura as well, throwing himself headfirst at the monster. Hey, Queen, I brought you a gift. John lands a brutal punch, sending her flying, leaving everyone completely speechless. What on earth was that? That guy just attacked the Spider Queen itself without using any relic. Every Gemini member in the supermarket hears it. The bald guy immediately recognizes that mysterious voice. It is Bishop Choi using telepathy, and the bald guy quickly responds, confirming he is Sun Ho. Get out of the building right now. Bishop Choi warns that the Ares faction is about to demolish the entire structure. Outside, they are already prepping for the collapse, and Choi warns them that Yang Wei himself is on his way. We cannot stop him. And that Spider Queen is a monster that even Yang Wei himself failed to kill. That is why they want to bury this place, hiding their failure. Sun Ho, you borrowed a teleportation skill, right? Take Sunj and escape immediately. The bald guy is surprised to realize it is just the two of them and hesitates. He looks around at the injured people scattered everywhere. The devastation of this place is undeniable. Meanwhile, John keeps fighting head-on. Sun Ho remains silent in thought, while Choi presses him, demanding to know the delay. Is there a problem? No, sir, none. Meanwhile, the red-haired kid screams that begging for help will do no good. They want to bury everyone alive, but trust me, you and I need to see if John saves them. Come along with me, because Sun Ho is hesitating again, fully aware of the sheer chaos a giant Spider Queen will unleash in the city. He keeps rambling, cutting everyone off, claiming that the terrified citizens will put all the blame on the divine sanctuary. Their faith will shatter, draining the gods of their strength. Humanity has to stay completely loyal to keep receiving divine protection. He reveals they only have 2 teleports left, meaning only 2 can escape. Sunj, you are coming with me. I have strict orders to get you out of here, but Sunj refuses to leave his friend and the trapped civilians behind. You idiot, do not make me look bad. I'm not about to die in this dump because of a useless brat like you. He begins channeling his icy powers once more, coldly adding, I cannot disobey the saints, so I will just eliminate this annoying dead weight. You will have no choice. Suddenly, the red-haired kid draws his weapon too. You absolute trash. Sunjay, do you seriously think you can take me? Our power levels are not even in the same league. Forget your stupid conscience and make the smart choice. But watch closely because a giant centipede slams him from behind out of nowhere. He faceplants, hard dragging across the floor, while John glances over in total disbelief, asking what on earth is happening. Are you guys still here? It is way too dangerous. Beat it, Hyung. The kid screams out, calling his older brother figure. The red-haired kid explains that monsters have completely blocked the exit, making it impossible for them to run away. Their only options are teleportation or wiping out every single beast. Meanwhile, that massive Spider Queen is still lurking, watching them. Tons of people are injured, and outside suited men gather purple energy, confirming the Ares sect is completely sealing off the area. John clicks his tongue. What a massive headache. The bald guy struggles up, screaming in a rage because our main character dared to hit him. Jian just shrugs, saying he thought the coward had already run off. Shut up, you fools. Survive on your own if you can. I am getting out of here, no matter what. But right as he tries to teleport, a sticky web slams into his back. The Spider Queen snared him. There is no way. She drags him straight into her jaws, ending him in a split second. Only his cell phone clatters to the floor. Everyone stares at the beast in pure horror. John tells the other 2 he will handle this, ordering them to save the wounded. The red-haired kid and Sunj hesitate, but our main character insists he will wrap this up fast and tells them to move. Outside, the magical barrier keeps rising, and Yang suddenly arrives, demanding a full report on the situation. They report that the store is locked down, but he is completely unimpressed by a plan that was set up before he even arrived. Nothing special so far, but you and I are about to see things get interesting as the barrier suddenly begins to shatter. A blinding green light erupts completely, obliterating the seal and blowing everyone back. Suddenly, a massive serpent symbol glows in the sky. What on earth is that? A snake? Terrified civilians start pouring out of the supermarket in a massive panic. They scream for help, crying that the beast is still inside, while agents try to control the crowd. Some shout that a man was catching spiders with his bare hands. Yang watches the unfolding chaos in dead silence, catching spiders by hand. Unbelievable. Not even I could pull that off. Who did this? He unleashes his massive red aura as the guards scream warnings. Sir, there are still monsters inside. But Yang does not care one bit, simply commanding his men to stay on high alert. He leaps across buildings, crashing into the supermarket, and gasps in shock. Good grief, how on earth did they kill this thing? Who could have done this? The battle scars are intense. Is someone actually hunting down the Spider Queen on purpose? This is getting complicated. Way too many issues to deal with. Suddenly, he senses an odd energy, looks down, and completely freezes. Wait a second. That absolute bastard. What is he doing here, right there in the crowd? He spots Hugo. Yang wonders if Hugo pulled this off. Could it really be him? It all makes sense until a voice asks behind him, "Hey, how have you been?" Hearing that voice makes Yang freeze completely. What is wrong, Tubby? Did you see a ghost or something? It is Lee Gun himself. He chuckles, staring right at him. What is with that face? Looks like you ate something rotten. In complete shock, the giant stutters you are alive. Meanwhile, the scene cuts away as a green emergency alarm blares out. First responders lead everyone outside, shouting for anyone who is injured to step forward immediately. They warn everyone to back away while Denim and the red-haired kid realize that guy really is Lee Gun. He looks different, but those moves are unmistakable. Suddenly, someone shouts, "It was Hugo!" Hugo stares right at the boy and asks Chan Sunj, "What on earth are you doing here?" Denim freezes, whispering the Sagittarius Saint. The red-haired kid looks totally lost and asks, "Wait, since when did you get back? Is that really how you speak to your father?" Yep, this kid is actually Hugo's son, which is a massive plot twist. Denim smiles while the kid fumes and Hugo's just relieved they're safe. And trust me, you and I could not ask for a wilder cliffhanger today. If you think this is just a medical rescue inside a supermarket, stick with me to find out how this disaster truly started. So, who actually did it? The redhead has absolutely no idea. Still furious, he glares and wonders who Hugo plans to hunt. But the moment they mention Brother Gun is fine, Hugo runs off in a panic. Did you say Gun? Where is he? Do you know him? The poor guy panics, babbling that he is sorry. Do you mean the Saint? Yes, he is inside the supermarket right now. He is also the one who defeated the Spider Queen. He said his name is Gun. Tell me what happened in there. In that exact instant, a massive explosion shakes the entire supermarket. Hugo turns around as he feels the blast. Suddenly, the scene shifts, showing the beaten and dazed giant muttering curse words. But our main character just smiles. You are so dramatic. We have known each other for 20 years, and you attack me on sight. Who the hell are you? The big guy yells, saying he looks like Lee Gun. But his face had no scars, and his voice was completely different. Besides, it is impossible for him to still look this young. You bastard, how dare you impersonate Lee Gun? You almost fooled me for a second. The guy keeps shouting in pure rage. How dare you challenge me? Pay close attention to what happens next. The main character just stares him down. What the hell are you talking about, idiot? Then he steps forward and lands a solid blow to his chest, sending him flying. Did you think I was joking? He does not stop there, slamming him back and forth like a tennis ball until he crashes into the ground. With one hand in his pocket, our main character approaches with absolute calm. Do you seriously need a beating just to listen? Did your lives really get better after getting rid of me? Disgusting trash. You stole my holy relics, and from what I heard, you even forged my testimony. The big guy just stares in shock, absolutely terrified. I was planning to send you flying anyway. I will start by teaching you a lesson. The giant keeps trembling as our hero keeps talking. After that, I am coming for your house, your sanctuary, your relics, and every single one of those other trashy saints. I will destroy everything. I won't allow this. Judging by how he talks and moves, he is not joking. I couldn't even dodge his attacks earlier. Is that really Lee Gun? Did he actually survive the tower and come back? It is impossible. If you really are Lee Gun, prove it to me. The giant roars as he unleashes his power, covered in a reddish-purple energy. A dark crest spreads across the ground as something rises behind him. A crowned figure appears while the system announces the god of Ares. So only a fraction of your god showed up. Even so, the giant continues to act incredibly arrogant. He hurls a storm of chains to trap him. I know what you are thinking, but wait until you see his reaction. Do we still seem weak to you? I don't know how you returned alive from that tower, but I will make you regret it. Skill Divine Armament. More chains bind our main character, pinning him in place as a massive sharp spike forms directly right in front of him. Well, that is quite impressive. Shut up, you bastard. Those massive spikes fly straight toward him, completely destroying the entire area. A massive pile of blades slams down on him one after another. Could this really be the end for him? It surprised me that he made it back from the Devil's Tower. But he is still the same fool facing me head on. Did he seriously think a few levels and experience points would be enough? What an idiot. Did he really think I sat idle for 20 years? Suddenly, a green light glows from beneath the spikes. The giant immediately freezes up as he catches sight of it. A violent explosion blasts the blades away, and our main character charges forward to land a direct punch to his face, launching him back. How did you survive that? Are you really Lee Gun? Our hero just lets out a laugh. You finally realized it, you fat slob. He stomps his foot onto his stomach and continues speaking without holding back. Yes, that is right. I'm finally back. How did he survive and what happened to you? Even your weapons smell like absolute garbage now. That kind of recovery should be impossible even for healers of Aquarius. System messages pop up. You experienced a near-death state. Conditions met. Skill unlocked 13th sense. Thanks for making me stronger. Now let's try something new. Hey, wait, please, the system notifications keep coming. The god of Aries is completely shocked by Lee Gun. Through tears, he asks how Lee Gun is still alive, and the Aries god trembles, muttering that it is impossible before vanishing with curses. The giant completely panics. What is going on? Why on earth is a god vanishing? Our main character replies that maybe he knows fighting him is pointless. Since he is feeling merciful today, he will only make him suffer the same pain. He says this with a pitying smile, right after he begins beating the giant to a pulp. Sometime later, Hugo arrives with the man's subordinates, demanding to know what on earth happened here, to leave the place completely destroyed. Seeing this, Hugo understands everything. That energy, definitely Lee Gun. Trust me, only he could leave behind a wild mess like this. One of the men senses something is off. Yangi's energy is still there, but it is incredibly weak. Come along with me on this. Hugo says nothing, simply unleashing his massive aura and ordering everyone back immediately. In the blink of an eye, he vanishes, heading straight toward the big guy's last location. Scanning the area, he curses that bastard Ligum for leaving a message. What kind of mess are you making now? Cut to Iris's house. Our main character calmly arrives and spots his stolen artifacts sitting right there. Stepping inside, he finds a statue of the big guy surrounded by people rushing back and forth. Observing everything he says, this guy is totally obsessed with showing off wealth, flexing all this huge fortune. Yet I can already feel my divine artifact. And what is with these fake relics? He even swiped clothes from my place. But all these weapons are fakes. Suddenly, his eyes land on something labeled as Ligum's toothpick. There you are, my precious. Instantly, chaos erupts as terrified people scramble under a blaring red alarm. It is the thief quick to Sector B. Now, watch closely, because they find our hero calmly holding that toothpick. An army surrounds him in seconds, demanding he surrender and drop the item. But he just stares, completely ignoring them. With one flick of the toothpick, everything shatters, sending guards flying through the air. As they go flying, he casually remarks that you should always use your best tool right. Then it shapeshifts. The toothpick turns into a slime. Good to see you, Lime. The system announces a divine artifact is unlocked. The Creator Slime, an S-rank artifact with the ultimate power to shapeshift. Suddenly, another system notification pops up. Creation Workshop conditions met. A personal pocket space of 1.5 meters has been generated. Unlocked workshop functions are production, repair, reinforcement, and dismantling. Using his creation skill, he can channel the slime's traits. All right, time to break out of this place. Another system window pops up, strongly detecting the energy signature of the Ares artifact. Leaving empty-handed would be a total waste. The little slime watches him as he moves forward. He kicks the door open, ready to loot. Meanwhile, Hugo arrives, cursing his bad timing. The big guy's mansion is totally wrecked and guards are fleeing in terror. Please, Gum, stop this madness right now. I know what you are thinking. Is he hungry now? As the crowd flees, Hugo screams his name in sheer frustration. Tyson comes running, crying like a madman, but dashes straight past John without even noticing him. Instead, he grabs some random guard, crying that if Ligum were alive, they would be together. Then he demands to know exactly what he did after returning. Our main character watches in utter confusion as Tyson rambles on about his look and where he is going. That makes Ligum completely blow his tongue. He kicks Hugo straight in the face, calling him an absolute idiot for not recognizing his own friend. Hugo spits blood, completely shocked, while some poor extra tries to escape before things get worse. Hugo is frozen solid. Suddenly, he spots the slime and stares. Is that you? But Ligum cuts him off, ready to punch him again. The poor guy can barely get a word out. Finally, Tyson stammers John's name and tearfully throws himself onto him. Even Lime looks super thrilled. Tyson honestly cannot believe what he is seeing right now. He is alive, but Jian jabs him right in the stomach, knocking him back with the impact. Our hero curses him for the hug, which only convinces Tyson of his identity. Suddenly, a system warning flashes before them. Apollo has arrived. Everyone freezes as a blinding golden aura ignites right behind their backs. Tyson trembles under Apollo's intense, strange gaze fixed directly on Jian. Tyson completely tenses up, but Ligum stays cool. Suddenly, Apollo confronts them directly, leaving Hugo utterly baffled by his sudden appearance. Apollo just stares at John in silence. Our hero frowns, clearly annoyed by the god's arrogant attitude. The system warns that Apollo doubts Ligum survived and wants to test him. Hugo has no clue what to do. The god draws his bow, ready to fire a flaming arrow. Hugo desperately grabs him, begging him to stop. Meanwhile, John thinks about wiping out this annoying god for aiming his weapon at someone he just met. Hugo tries to de-escalate, babbling that everything is fine and John does not even look injured. Believe me, he wants payback first. Hugo shivers in terror. He explains that he just exited the tower, only to find his house sold, his name ruined, and his relics stolen. Get ready, because today we're watching Hugo try to stop him, only to take a massive punch to the face. And man, he really delivers it. After taking the hit, he claims this punch proves Hugo's absolute loyalty. Right then, Yang Wei's guards burst in, screaming at everyone to catch him for stealing all their relics. John blinks, finally remembering they were chasing him, while Hugo spins around in a panic, asking what he stole. Our main character calmly says it's no big deal showing off a stuffed sack. Hugo realizes he cleaned out the entire vault. That sends his friend into a screaming, crying meltdown, yelling at him for the absolute chaos he just caused. The guards want to arrest him right away, but their leader stops them, knowing our hero is on a whole different level, and backup won't help. Before they can even react, a massive blast of wind hits the area, leaving everyone wondering what on earth is happening. Then something crashes down hard. A giant sword slams into the ground, and everyone instantly realizes who just arrived. It is the avatar of Ares itself, the beast of wealth, roaring furiously right in front of Hugo and Gian. Hugo completely loses it at the sight of Ares' avatar, begging John to return the loot and run, but John just tells him to chill. He claims he has a plan and then orders Lime to act. Suddenly, the little guy's eyes glow, releasing a blinding flash. A second later, he spits out what looks like Gian's old worn-out weapon. Pay close attention here, because John knows he can't fight like this, so he awakens his weapon's true long-dormant form. Intense green energy wraps around the old weapon, leaving Hugo utterly speechless at such a massive display of power. Then lightning strikes as a massive brand-new sword appears in his hands. Now that is what he calls a useful weapon. The system reveals that the relic awakened through the power of Ophiuchus, gaining a lethal instant kill effect from its Snake Hunter attribute. Its blade is devastating, its power is boosted, and it even unlocks the legendary 13th Sense skill. Now John can spot the enemy's vital points in his path of destruction. Smiling at his new skill, he instantly pinpoints the monster's weaknesses. Ready for action, he charges straight at the beast, while Hugo watches from behind in absolute awe. He remembers John always fought like this, leading the charge and rushing headfirst into danger without a single shred of fear. He yells to end it quickly, but right as he approaches, the monster swings a brutal claw to crush him. Hugo screams in pure horror, but something completely unexpected happens to the beast's giant claw. Gian complains about the loud yelling jokes that the foot's stench almost killed him, and declares that now it's his turn. The creature is shocked to see its own claw flying through the air cleanly severed. As it roars in pain, the system alerts. The Beast of Wealth, Pichu, has activated its special ability. I bet you'd smile too, hearing him calmly say, it should have stayed quiet, because now he's going to destroy it slowly. He preps for the finishing blow, and the system announces the activation of Ophiuchus' Snake Hunter attribute. Gian unleashes a massive slash that tears through the ground toward his opponent, destroying everything in its path. The crowd watches the scene in absolute shock as John stands tall, leaving an epic trail of destruction behind him. Hugo realizes this power easily matches John during his golden age. The beast is totally defeated, and the system confirms he took down an avatar, boosting his divinity points. Then it asks if he wants to claim Pichu as his own avatar, shocking Gian, since only the 12 gods rule avatars. Realizing it is possible, he reaches out to pet it. His aura glows, wrapping around the creature as it suddenly grows wings. The system confirms that Pichu has become the new avatar of Ophiuchus, total active avatars 1. Now looking incredibly adorable, it shrinks down to hug its new owner, who decides to pick it up in his arms. He remarks that a creature like this is the most perfect treasure chest in the world, leaving Hugo completely speechless in the back. He literally just stole another temple's avatar, and Hugo cannot even fathom what crazy condition allowed this madness. Gian pampers the tiny creature for a moment before the system prompts him to give it a name. Our main character thinks it over and decides to name it Piggy. Next, we cut to Hugo's house, where John calls him a traitor, and Hugo complains about how worried he was. Gian coldly reminds him that while he was suffering in that awful tower, his friend got married and lived a happy life. John keeps teasing him, joking that he might just start stealing things right out of his own home. He says it more bluntly, but Hugo assures him he can stay as long as he wants because he lives alone. He totally slips up and trying to fix it, Hugo panics and swears he is not divorced. See you guys next time. Never mind his wife, forget that. Come with me and let's uncover what actually went down inside that mysterious tower. For now, Hugo decides to keep John's return a secret, remembering how obsessed everyone used to be with him. While Hugo fought the calamities outside, he never knew what happened inside, or why the other saints emerged holding Scarlet Eyes' head. John confesses that the truth is simple and horrifying. They stabbed him in the back and threw him into a death trap crawling with terrifying calamities. More monsters spawned, and even Scarlet Eyes came back to life. Hugo is completely shocked, but our main character confirms the monster resurrected. He explains that the creature was hiding deep inside and its true form was a massive fire dragon. John managed to kill that bastard, but the real issue wasn't Scarlet Eyes, it was the actual tower administrator. That guy kept resurrecting the fallen monsters. No matter how many times John killed them, they kept coming back. Somehow he made it out, though he admits there were times he thought he would never escape. That sick bastard tortured him mercilessly for years, but in the end, he unleashed his full power and defeated the administrator. He recalls being buried alive after the fight. When he woke up, the cave was empty, and he suddenly possessed incredible new powers. One thing is for sure, the scumbag who betrayed him knew that tower inside and out. Pay close attention here. John swears to make those bastards pay dearly for locking him in with those horrific monsters. The ones who robbed him and talked trash behind his back will suffer, but he has something truly special planned for the main traitor. First, he needs to prepare. Hugo is completely chilled to the bone after hearing the story and asks what the next step is. Jen answers that he needs to craft combat gear. Instantly, he uses his power on a wooden rocking horse and activates his skill. Creation Workshop Level 1. It summons a pocket dimension capable of crafting absolutely anything. The system scans for useful materials and asks if he wants to use divine relic components for the process. The list of available materials appears highlighting the corrupted essence of the Spider Queen, whose magic power can be absorbed. The Calamity Fragment increases the item's success rate and power. Plus, it detects several divine relics stolen from the House of Ares. These are the treasures he took from Ares. Gian decides to throw absolutely everything into the workshop to see what happens. The forging begins and a green flash floods the room as the system announces the creation is finished successfully. You and I are looking at a divine relic with its own consciousness. Imitation Horse Rank D. By writing a name on it, that person absorbs the magic of anyone they touch. It lets them steal 10% of someone else's magic power for an hour, and it's extremely loyal to its creator. John is thrilled since sentient items evolve on their own. Hugo applauds in awe, but when he remarks that a sentient item doesn't seem like a big deal, the little horse instantly flies into a rage. The toy indignantly demands to know if Hugo has any idea how many valuable materials went into making him. The item asks if he wants to use the leftovers to make something better, but our protagonist decides to pass for now. Suddenly, Hugo changes his tune, praising the design and calling Gian a genius for forging such a divine treasure. John reminds him he was just insulting it a second ago and demands respect, while Hugo curiously asks if he studied design in the Demon Tower. John reflects for a moment and replies that everything depends on how useful Hugo is to him from now on. They need to start dealing with those fake saints. Poor Hugo gets smacked on the head and asks how he plans to do that. It won't be easy to lure the other saints out of their domains, but Jan reveals something guaranteed to catch their eye. It's the true relic of the House of Ares, the chest of the Golden Fleece. The system explains that this double S rank chest can store anything and multiply the items inside for a price. It's one of the greatest divine treasures. Hugo wonders in confusion why he brought it when they can't even activate it. Gian mentions he heard Hugo has no money, so he brought the chest to fund his own faction. Hugo gets annoyed and yells that he's not poor, asking if higher rank relics require more materials to craft. Our main character explains they'll use it to duplicate resources and create relics powerful enough to crush their rivals. Hugo still questions how they'll manage if neither can activate it. John stares at him and asks if he really can't use it. Hugo reminds him he isn't the Ares saint, but Sagittarius. Didn't he notice our main character admits he didn't falling dead silent? Then Hugo suggests that maybe our main character can use it himself. John brushes it off, but suddenly confesses he already broadcast a declaration of war on television. We are about to witness something massive. Hugo is dumbfounded and yells in horror at what he just did, realizing there is absolutely no turning back now. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch our main character tell off everyone in the most satisfying way. Cut to the Blue House in Korea, where a highly tense meeting is currently taking place. A furious man tears into the others, yelling that they couldn't even defeat a single spider and humiliated themselves. He mocks them, saying they should sell charms instead of fighting disasters. This is Divine Captain Leo Oliver, but someone suddenly cuts him off. They warn the Divine Lion to watch his tongue, but Oliver points out that some random guy easily crushed the Spider Queen. He wonders if the deceased John somehow came back to life, but another guy warns him not to cross the line. It is obvious he is obsessed with John's past achievements. That man is the captain of Gemini Cho Sun-hook. He was the one who told the bald guy and the dagger guy to flee. Cho asks what the big deal is. If it really were Jian, he would have easily destroyed that spider. Didn't they watch that famous video of the Russian campaign? But another man objects, claiming he only succeeded because of buffs from other saints and the weapons they gifted him. With that support, anyone could do better. Troy dryly fires back that maybe he did not get enough help to defeat the spider. That is why he failed, right? The guy gets instantly furious. He claims he is just clarifying things. The Ares faction defeated the Spider Queen by sacrificing an S-rank disciple. Troy mocks him, saying he would love to meet that strong warrior, though he would probably have to look inside the spider's stomach. The argument continues while an old man in the back grumbles that the Blue House now looks like a den of thieves. Now here's where everything changes. Pay attention, because someone bursts in, telling them to turn on the TV for crazy news. The news reporter announces they just received a mysterious package with photos of someone claiming to be a Yangi and a note. The photos show a ruined Yangi, and the message says, "I have returned." The handwriting matches at a staggering 99%. It belongs to the hero they thought was dead. Back with Hugo, he yells at our protagonist, asking what on earth he was thinking. John calmly replies that it was a declaration of war. He warns them to get ready because he plans to rip their heads off. Hugo keeps shouting at this maniac to wake up. Defeating Yangi was already troublesome enough, so why advertise it? But John corrects him. Yangi is not dead. Hugo completely freezes. What Jian clarifies that he is technically alive, just not fully. Hugo is left in absolute shock as the protagonist reveals the truth. Ta-da, here is Yang Wei. He holds a sweating teddy bear while Yang Wei curses Jian from inside the toy. I know what you are thinking is that really Yangi trapped in there. From inside the plushie, he roars to be released. Jian explains that the battle greatly upgraded his skills, and now he can completely suppress and seal Yangi's soul. He talks to the bear like a naughty child while Yangi shivers in terror. Hugo asks if such madness is even possible. John ignores him and asks him to look at something else, handing him what looks like an orange peeler. Hugo is completely clueless, so John explains they used that exact peeler to mark his back in the Devil's Tower. Whoever tried to murder him used that exact tool. And judging by the engraving, it did not belong to just anyone. Hugo asks if he suspects a culprit, but John ignores him while ruthlessly squeezing the poor teddy bear trapping Yang Wei. He mentions he will go check out the Divine Artifact shop. Hugo asks why, and John says the store owner might recognize those strange carvings from somewhere. The mood lightens slightly when Jian asks to borrow some clothes, and Hugo tells him to take whatever he wants from the closet. The scene shifts. Now, sharply dressed and looking stylish, Jian announces he will leave servant number 2 at home this time. This triggers Hugo. If there is a number 2, there must be a number 1. Jian leaves, pointing out that Hugo is indeed number 1. Hugo seethes with rage while Yangi mocks him from the plushie. Then we head back to where the battle against Pichu went down. A group of elegantly dressed women arrives at the site to investigate. One notes that the Saint of Ares has vanished with no trace of his power. Cut to a woman bathing peacefully, wondering where he went. This is Sophie Morty, the Saint of Aquarius. She suspects he might have run away with all his immense wealth. She remarks this could cause issues, especially if he secretly made deals with another saint behind her back. She wants to locate the fat guy. An assistant timidly suggests that the newly returned Jian might have kidnapped Yang Wei. Sophie only smiles. She calmly says that those kinds of jokes are not funny to her. As she casually drowns her assistant, "We leave it here, trust me. You won't want to miss what comes next." All right, you and I are about to watch this terrified lady beg Sophie for mercy before they head to the artifact shop. She explains they have to sell their absolute best divine relics to raise funds for that super crucial auction drama. But right in the middle of planning, a bodyguard bursts in, yelling that they have a massive problem. The other saints actually signed up for that auction drama too. Sophie completely freezes and screams, "What how?" Next, we cut to the Leo Academy where a bunch of massive muscular guys are staring ahead in absolute shock. Right there, a beastly guy is training hard, powering through a heavy squat before dropping the barbell. A lackey walks up, revealing that John's artifact will be at the auction. Hearing that, he goes silent for a moment. He slams the weights down, laughing that it finally appeared, and claims John's artifact is definitely going to be theirs. We are talking about Stephen the Leo Saint. Suddenly, a portal rips open with crackling lightning. Our main character steps out. Hugo's son says teleporting is super handy, and the red-haired guy replies, "It is usually pricey, but free for Gemini associates." Now, pay attention here. They've arrived at the artifact shop. John thanks him, saying he was looking for an appraiser, and they hooked him up with a double S rank. The redhead brushes it off, but recalls his boss's orders. He met the beast who crushed the Spider Queen, so he must watch over him and provide total support. He sighs while staring at his phone until Gian asks if his boss has been nagging him since that incident. The kid quickly denies it. Then our main character hands over the item, mentioning it worked like a charm against the bugs. The details pop up on screen. That orange peeler is Janice's desire in A rank. Its skill summons two-faced soldiers, one red and one blue, triggering a random effect. The redhead notes, it wasn't rusty when John grabbed it, but John replies he repaired it himself. Some effects change, so he shouldn't be too shocked. The kid thanks him in awe, then looks around and mentions this is where the double S rank appraiser actually works. Inside, a man flinches, while outside everyone mutters in shock that someone so absolutely stunning is actually visiting a place like this. It's those same bodyguards from before escorting the Aquarius Saint. She struts inside like she owns the entire world. She walks up to the receptionist, demanding to leave some divine artifacts with the appraiser before the auction begins. The nervous clerk apologizes and explains the appraiser is busy with another client. This infuriates her. How dare he see someone else when she is right there? She flashes a sweet smile, saying she will wait, but I bet you and I are both dying to see who's inside. And inside, of course, is Gian. He checks out the pricey items around him, noting that a double S rank truly runs this place. The appraiser then asks the redhead who made this item, and our main character calmly chimes in that he created it himself. The man is stunned, asking if John is connected to the original creator. He's actually a Virgo affiliate and double S rank appraiser. The redhead introduces him as the actual creator, but the appraiser thinks it's a joke and tells the kid to get serious. He spins around, demanding to know his true connection with our main character. He just shrugs. What do you mean? The appraiser explains most people only know the hero for fighting, but he was also a legendary creator. Looking at the artifact, he admits he has seen cheap knockoffs, but claims this one is on a whole different level. He can feel the creator's genuine mastery in it, making John smile proudly, thinking this guy actually knows his stuff. The appraiser proudly brags about being the legendary hero's disciple, even blushing as he says it. John is completely baffled. What rubbish is this old man spouting? He doesn't remember ever having a disciple who idolizes him like this. The appraiser adds that someone so young couldn't be his direct student, though he admits Gian's skill almost fooled him. This only makes Gian want to smack him, so he finally snaps back to reality. Then the man pulls out a notebook, claiming it's a gift the hero gave him when accepting him as a student. John is shocked. It is his lost notebook. He realizes this guy might be the rookie who stalked him across China. Back then, the guy was so annoying he treated him like a pest, but now, 20 years later, he has aged quite a bit. The appraiser gets all emotional, remembering how the hero had an incredible eye for items and always gave him priceless advice. But one day, he vanished, leaving his things behind with only this notebook left. Meanwhile, John realizes this so-called disciple actually stole it. The man goes on to say the hero's handwriting was absolutely horrendous, so he could barely read it, but believed it held his greatest ideas. John wants to scream that it was actually his blacklist. After awakening, Gian can extract info from anyone he defeats. Since this guy is a double S rank, he definitely has some highly valuable data. The appraiser lets Gian keep the notebook due to his talent. And trust me, you and I both know things are about to get wild. Come along with me. Our main character is finally reclaiming something precious that he deeply regretted losing. Right then, the system announces that the inactive notebook is reacting to its owner's magic. It will evolve into a divine relic through Ophiuchus magic. The appraiser is stunned to see it stores memories. Plus, it says our main character has an unseen skill. The worn-out notebook glows, turning a freshly restored green. Right at that moment, someone yells to Jinyoung that something terrible happened. The old man turns confused until his assistant reveals the saint is outside. Annoyed, Jinyoung wonders why there is such a fuss over a mere saint. Hearing this, Jian asks if she really is one. Outside, the Aquarian saint waits by the door, completely annoyed by how all those low-class people are staring at her. To her, that always happens in public. Meanwhile, the redhead sips juice and mentions Sophie Marie only attends official events. He heard it is extremely difficult to ever get her to leave the church. Losing her patience, she says waiting is a waste of time and decides to go speak directly with the appraiser. That appraiser must buy her relics for a high price to raise money for the auction, and she is tired of waiting. Her guards beg for patience since a client is still inside, but she snaps, saying she will see who it is herself. Opening the door and looking at John, she completely freezes from the sheer shock. To her, he looks strangely dazzling, and suddenly everything changes. Just like before, the scene continues as the saint enters the room. Now pay close attention. The moment she looks at John, she feels a sudden terrifying aura of death. She drops to her knees as her guards rush to help, but she can only wonder in absolute terror what that was. That power she felt was like being surrounded by thousands of poisonous snakes. Knowing she must flee immediately, she escapes in terror while Gian and the appraiser just watch her leave in confusion. The mustache man asks why she fled like that, and our main character replies, she might be sick. Right after the system speaks, a Zodiac affiliate approached Ophiuchus without fear. Your divine power has increased to 35. Jan wonders if divine power is different from magic, and the system clarifies it manifests as the power of the gods. It can be stolen from gods or taken from others. If it hits 0, your Zodiac will lose all its strength, and if too much time passes, you will grow weak. Our main character realizes he just keeps gaining more skills. He asks if she was a saint. I know what you are thinking. How does he not recognize someone so famous? John pauses. Sophie Marie, so that is who they meant by the saint. He realizes that little girl became a saint and changed quite a bit. It is no surprise he did not recognize her. She looked fine before, but even though plastic surgeries made her beautiful, her rotten heart remains exactly the same. If he had to rank what he hates among fish bones, worms, and trash, Sophie would easily be a disgusting worm. To him, she barely counts as human. She values her own skin more than the lives of others. The mustache man cannot understand why they call her the pinnacle of compassion when she is actually cruel and selfish. Jiggy notes that this means he actually knows a bit about her. Outside, the saint orders her guard back to the pawnshop to discover who that guy was while he asks what to do with the appraiser. She cuts him off, saying she changed her mind. Kill them all. Wow, this so-called saint is absolutely ruthless. So any romance with Gian is completely out of the question. She believes the Virgo saint thinks too highly of that appraiser. They still need to sell their items, but getting dragged into this mess completely ruined her mood and left her feeling humiliated. Worse yet, that man revived her trauma. To her, both are rude idiots. She even offers her divine relic, promising the power of the gods. But Sophie's assistant hesitates, since using such massive divine power in a neutral district is extremely dangerous. Sophie cuts her off, asking if she dares to disobey an order. Next, our story shifts to the relic district in the central zone. Strolling through the area is Hugo's red-haired son, quietly sipping his juice and not bothering a single soul. He stops in his tracks. What is this? Why is there water on the ground if it is not even raining? The water feels weak, but it still carries magic. That is when he realizes something is very wrong. A hand emerges from the water, and a liquid clone takes his exact shape. He stands stunned, trying to figure out what is happening. Looking around, he sees panic-stricken people running as even more water duplicates rise. And that's where we leave it as the saint watches from above, calling them mirror duplicates. Join me for this, because even weak ants can take down an elephant in a swarm. Someone screams at the guard for using skills in a neutral zone. He demands she cancel it immediately, but she completely ignores him. This order comes straight from the saintess herself. She claims it is divine will activating a relic that floods the area with blinding light. Sunj tries to stop her, but it is too late. She unleashes the water chalice called Oblivion. Water spheres trap everyone as more clones materialize behind her. Satisfied, she promises to handle the man inside the appraisal building. She orders her forces to capture all the appraisers, and the water clones immediately charge forward to attack. Sunj realizes he needs to escape fast. If he stays here, he will lose consciousness regardless. The scene shifts back to John watching water drip from the ceiling. The mustached appraiser senses trouble brewing outside. Suddenly, a wave of water magic envelops them as an assassin materializes right behind Gian. She warns him not to move. Nothing personal, but the saintess is upset, so he should stay still. If he wants to avoid a total bloodbath, he had better cooperate. The saintess ordered their deaths, but if he apologizes for his disrespect and buys their overpriced relic, she might show mercy. Now pay attention to this. While the mustached man is trapped in a bubble, Gian simply grabs the dagger and snaps it like a toothpick. Then he calmly tells Jin Young to charge them for the property damage. The assassin stands frozen, completely stunned. The appraiser is shocked too. That dagger was a gift from Aquarius. How did he break it so easily? Furious, she screams that she warned him not to move, unleashing a massive water dragon straight at him. He destroys it instantly. With a smug grin, he asks if she has anything else. It was fun. She is absolutely speechless. He obliterated her high-tier clone in a single second. Now she finally understands exactly how the saintess felt. This guy is dangerous. Letting him run free means trouble for Sophie. So she unleashes her entire arsenal using the Saintess's purest magic. She summons orange rank water wolves, and a highly lethal pack materializes right before her eyes. John just stares, teasing her for trying so hard. He reminds Jin Young that he can take whatever he wants. So he takes them. And believe me, what happens next is absolutely wild. He vanishes and slices them all to pieces in a split second. He is quite impressed with the dagger, admitting it slices through them like hot butter. This material must exceed the normal tier. He only came to appraise his gear but stumbled upon something much better. After pulverizing the wolves, the system notifies him that he received data on a mirror duplication fragment. Endless notification windows pop up in front of John, and he simply calls it beautiful. The woman watches in sheer disbelief. Every single summon was wiped out with absolute ease. This cannot be happening. She realizes he is way out of her league. Attacking again means instant defeat, so she flees in terror. Jian simply smiles as she runs away, leaving the mustached appraiser completely jaw-dropped in astonishment. Just then, the red-haired boy bursts in asking if they are okay, since he was attacked too. But looking at the destroyed wolves, he gets confused. Feeling the lingering magic, he realizes they were the Saintess's summons. Jian jokes that if she keeps sending him these toys, she is basically asking him to harvest them for materials. Even so, he warns Sunj they need to leave before the next wave hits, but the old man stops them. He admits that 20 years ago he used to follow him everywhere just to study his legendary creations. He clearly remembers how Jian gathered materials post-battle, that savage combat style, and that overwhelming demonic presence. Could it really be him? John merely raises a finger to request silence, and the old man instantly understands. John walks away, warning them that he will return for those premium materials, so they better keep them safe. Though he has questions, the appraiser thanks him, begging him to return soon as he watches him leave in style. Later, Sunj asks why the Saintess is hunting him. Did he somehow manage to make an enemy out of her? Jan tells him to wait, promising to show him something fun. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a high-end dessert shop. Pastries, cakes, and sweets cover the tables as John joyfully stuffs his face with delicious food. He asks Sunj if the ice cream is good, urging him to eat up. Sunj digs in, though he notices this place looks incredibly pricey. Then he remembers the assassin dropped an item while escaping. And honestly, this little thing is going to be incredibly useful for us. It turns out to be a unique badge that acts as an unlimited credit card while storing incredibly powerful skills. Taking a closer look, it is the Aquarius badge. If it really functions as a card, it could spell major trouble for them later. All right, grab your popcorn, because today we are watching Jian completely ignore danger to keep stuffing his face with ice cream. But his partner completely freezes up at a voice behind them, whispering the name of Captain Choi Soon-yuk. Choi asks to join them, but Jian instantly sizes him up, realizing this is the annoying boss who trash talks him behind his back. The newcomer introduces himself as the divine captain of Gemini, Choi Soon-yuk acting all friendly while claiming he has heard of Jian, which our main character boldly admits is true. He mentions how they defeated the Spider Queen, a feat even Yang failed to do, but John just asks what that has to do with him. He replies that scouting top-tier talents is his most important duty as a divine captain. John asks if this is a bribe, but Choi reveals one of his 8 divine relics is hitting the auction block soon. He says there's no rush to chat, but the second Jian hears about the auction, he drops his spoon instantly. If someone is selling his stuff, he cannot waste another second, so he demands the exact location of this auction. His partner politely suggests that he should probably wipe the ice cream off his mouth first. Choi smiles, explaining that since it is such a legendary item, the event will take place somewhere worthy of its immense value. The biggest auction house on Earth, floating 16,000 feet in the air, the massive fortress city of Drachma. A massive territory surrounded by floating islands, orbiting around a truly gigantic tower. Now watch closely here, because we see the saint literally shaking with fear in her chair while a rude man aggressively demands she get lost. He only succeeds in ruining the taste of her drink. She curses him in her mind, calling him an uneducated savage, but puts up with it because he beat John, making him her safest shield. This is the saint of Leo Stephen Marker, who coldly warns her that the relic belongs to him, so she better not bid on it. When she asks where he's going, he snaps that it is none of her business and tells her to stay put. He walks away, leaving her furious, but she tries to stay calm and keep her composure. She tells herself that no one can touch her in Drachma, but right then she locks eyes with Hugo. While the guards welcome him in, Hugo scratches his head, looking everywhere for his friend. He expected to find him surrounded by expensive relics, but suddenly the saint creepily appears behind him with a sinister smile. She looks straight out of a horror movie, greeting him with fake friendliness and asking how he has been. She calls him by name, and Hugo instantly recognizes her as Sophie, sarcastically noting it has been a long time since she showed her face. She used to be known as one of the most beautiful saints, but now she looks totally ruined. Or maybe it is because she has no disciples left. Hugo just glares and tells her to get lost. You and I know Hugo wants nothing to do with her, but she mocks him, asking if he will run away like a coward again. She warns that if he runs, he could lose his kids just like his wife, making Hugo's eyes turn absolute ice. She says his wife is still breathing, but that could change, mocking him for being a useless leader who cannot protect his family. Those words push Hugo over the edge, unleashing a massive burst of energy as he glares at her with pure rage. He demands one last time that she leave, but she does not even flinch at his overwhelming power. She tells him to relax, while stopping his pressure with a single hand, reminding him of the gap between him and a demigod. She starts calling upon her water magic, but suddenly someone yells at her with absolute aggression. As she turns, John lands a devastating punch straight to her forehead, knocking her out cold instantly. She drops to the floor, and a completely stunned Hugo looks at Jian, asking what the hell he's doing here. Jian explains he was worried about him, and while Hugo jokes about that sudden care, he tells him to stop playing around. Then he asks why that annoying woman always shows up to ruin things. With the saint foaming at the mouth on the floor, John seriously wonders if she actually has a crush on him. Hugo stares at him like he is insane, while the unconscious saint remembers the terrifying 13th saint. Shaking, she confesses she hated John. Or rather, she was absolutely terrified of him. His scarred face, his ruthless violence that destroyed anyone in his path, and those cold eyes looking down on her. Her mind travels 21 years back when terrified people screamed while trying to block the path of this unstoppable monster. They demanded he leave the sanctuary of Aquarius, but Jian just stared at the woman and told her to get lost. She froze, and honestly, you and I are going to want to see what happens next after this wild confrontation. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch this young saint demand to know why he invaded her temple. Jan shocks her, just to test her pulse, grabs her arm and tells her things have gone south. They are being called useless, so she needs to move. She refuses instantly, making it clear she has absolutely zero intention of helping anyone. John looks at her with pure disgust, but she just complains about his sweaty smell and her makeup interview. She demands he let go, whining that his filthy hand is gripping too tight, and that is where Jian loses his patience. He slaps her across the face, and the argument continues inside. She claims she was forced to heal people until she fainted. She calls John rude and totally irrational, screaming about how much she hates him. When she finally opens her eyes, he is sitting there, completely calm, telling her she talks too much in her sleep. She is even drooling, which makes it way more embarrassing. She glares at him, pauses, and then screams, asking what he is doing there. She demands he untie her, asking how he dares to treat a holy saint like this. Pay close attention here. John thinks she hasn't changed a bit in 20 years, but she swears things are different now. She plans to cover her hands in acid to melt the ropes. Clearly, simple binds like these cannot hold her. If she can just escape and meet up with Stephen, but Jian flicks her forehead before she can finish her thought. He tells her to stop since her plans are written all over her face. Furious, she calls him an idiot. Her acid armor skill activates whenever someone hits her. Now that acid should start melting him right from his hand. She imagines John screaming as he dissolves, but he just points his finger at her and says, "That is all. Full recovery." She is absolutely stunned. The melted skin heals instantly, and she realizes this is no ordinary healing. It is a skill theft. Then John says it is time to settle some old scores. He heard she has been claiming to be his doctor. Calling it pathetic, he asks if she sent her foolish servant to the appraisal shop. If so, she earned 5 forehead flicks. She panics and starts begging, but our main character just raises his hand. Time is up. The blows start raining down while Hugo sips his coffee, thinking Jian really beats everyone up without holding back. Men or women, they all deserved it. But wait, this is where you and I notice something strange happening. It is like our main character's divine status rises with every single hit. Suddenly, system messages start popping up. They show his divine status is at 40% charge, and that hitting the Aquarius Saint earned him a special item. Saint rank data. After a while, John finally stops. The saint is left completely wrecked, and the system speaks again. Divine status unlocked. Current state -50. Charge required. John cuts in looking completely and utterly confused. Divine status. What is that? He demands an explanation, and the system says it is a god's energy to use divine power. It also explains that he can steal this divine status from disciples and even other gods. If someone's status hits 0, their zodiac loses all power, and staying that way could actually kill them. He realizes this means he can easily farm divine status just by beating people up. He wonders why he didn't get anything from Yang earlier. Maybe this feature wasn't even active back then. Then Hugo spots the phone and asks where he got it. Our main character says he borrowed it from Hugo's son. He adds that he must head to the auction house now, leaving Hugo to handle the rest. As for her, John says to throw her in the trash. Hugo is left speechless as John walks off casually, letting him know he will call once the auction is over. Hugo yells back, asking what he should do with her, shortly after the door swings open. Hugo assumes he returned and asks if he forgot something, but looking up, he sees Steven staring at the tied-up saint. As Hugo stares at him, he asks what he's doing there. He says it has been a long time, but friendly hellos are off the table. Hugo asks why Steven is at the auction, and he explains the Aquarius saint allied with him, glancing at her tied to the chair. He asks again what Hugo's doing here. Hugo replies his auction business is none of his concern. Steven wonders if Hugo also came for the divine relics of Ligum being sold here. That catches Hugo off guard. He asks if those relics are really here, leaving Steven shocked he did not know. He mocks him, saying they will cost more than Hugo can afford anyway. Hugo just smiles and confronts him. He says Steven always collected Legum's relics, but never admitted his strength because he always felt totally inferior to him. Does he really think owning them makes him as strong as Legum? Tell me, what do you think happens next? Steven tenses up as they both charge their power. Get ready, because you and I are about to witness this clash. He grabs Hugo, warning him not to get cocky. He calls him a fool, warning him never to let the name of Ligum cross his lips again. While twisting his arm, Steven brags about being stronger than Ligum. Just then, someone rushes in, screaming for the divine captain. There is a major problem. Those bastards from Gemini are buying up all of Ligum's items. Steven lets go instantly with no time to waste. He tells Hugo to do whatever he wants with Aquarius. Since Hugo did not come for her, he should just leave. The auction is Steven's top priority, so he heads out. Before leaving, he gives Sagittarius one final warning. Watch that attitude, and bow your head if you want to keep living. Sarcastic as always, Hugo thanks him so much he could cry. Once they leave, Hugo looks at his injured hand and curses. He is in a terrible spot and has no idea what to do. Let's head to the drama auction. Inside the Gemini 5 IP room, they announce they won the divine relics again, marking the end of the first auction session. The second session starts after the break. Hugo celebrates, claiming everything is his once again. Someone congratulates him, offering to buy him whatever he wants. Hugo thanks them for the VIP invite and their immense generosity. Take whatever you want. It's only fair. Pay close attention here, because someone with your talent is exactly what we need. Divine Captain, are you sure this is okay? The total for these divine relics is already over billions. It is fine. Chan Sunja. I am sorry, but could you pay for the drinks? I forgot the company card. He already owed me a fortune, but since he was my superior, I had no choice but to stay quiet. Out of nowhere, he pulled out a black card and said everything was paid. Wait, is that not my unlimited card? When did he swipe it? You look drunk, so I took initiative. You should not make subordinates pay, even by accident. Yeah, you are right. You are absolutely damn right. I was just about to hand over my personal card, so thanks for paying. This kid looks young, but he's clearly trying to get in my head. Still, he is the super rookie who defeated the Spider Queen. If I can use him, no price will be too high. Anyway, we have had enough to drink. Let's talk about why we are really here. I have been thinking about you a lot. I know you have massive potential. You could easily reach S rank or higher, especially with the blessing of our Aries Saint. But our main character notices something strange first. That purple mist, a fog of absolute domination. Would you and I have even noticed it? Normal people cannot see this mist, but breathing it makes you trust him blindly. You could become one of the 10 saints. You will have wealth, honor, and the power of the legendary mage, the Aries Saint. All for free. Take my hand and become a disciple of the great Aries. That just made our main character burst into laughter. He started grinning, leaving everyone around him completely confused. Wow, today has turned out to be incredibly fun. Let me get this straight. You want me to serve a minor god? He was polite a second ago. Why is he angry now? I need to change the subject. I think you are mistaken about something. Just then, someone interrupts from outside. Excuse me, I have brought the items purchased at the auction. Right on time. Please come on in. The woman enters with the purchases. Excuse me and congratulations. Here's your auction item along with Ligum's relic certificate. A certificate of authority. Seriously, these people really know how to trick fools. The guy with glasses froze upon seeing it. Did you really buy a Ligum relic? You said I could buy anything. I was not looking for it on purpose, but it seemed useful. The problem is, Steven is obsessed with Ligum's relics. We should not have provoked him by buying this. I am sorry, but this relic has an owner, so we will refund you. Right then, the door exploded from a bolt of lightning. Everyone spun around instantly, absolutely furious. Stephen demanded to know who dared touch his property. Oh, Stephen, he is the one I told you about. The guy who wanted my relic. Lord Stephen, I'm so sorry. Please forgive us. The rookie made a mistake. He did not know anything. I will return it immediately. Good. Just admit it and hand it back right now. Thank you so much. You can pay whenever you want. What, you do not think you can leave freely after touching my stuff, right? Captain Shui. Stephen grabbed the guy with glasses by the head. Damn it. He wants to save billions by pretending it was just a mistake. Cut the crap. I bought it, so why would it be yours? If you want it so badly, I will sell it to you for 20 billion. Stephen fell silent, then burst out laughing. Wow, a Gemini with guts. But trust me, you and I both know this madman just dug his own grave. Does he seriously not know who Stephen is? Come with me, because today, we are watching a guy with zero fear. He shoves Glasses Guy to the ground and confronts our main character. Since meeting like this is destiny, why don't we just introduce ourselves right now? Every time I meet someone I like, I make sure there are sparks. But what on earth are you talking about, Stephen? You arrogant bastard. Looks like you improved a bit. Just as expected of Leo, a warrior born to fight. Your fighting spirit easily beats Aries or Aquarius. Once you bare your claws, you won't stop until your opponent is torn to shreds, right? Talk about a terrible temper. Stephen lunges forward with his hand raised, unleashing wild bolts of lightning everywhere. The onlookers watch in terror, screaming out for our hero. Utterly convinced of his victory, Stephen smirks with pure contempt. Well, that was fun. Now you'll spend the rest of your days in a wheelchair. But suddenly he freezes. Wait, what are you doing? Just brushing some dust off my shoulder. How that attack hit him dead on. You dodged my strike using teleportation. You're still all muscle and absolutely no brains, you stone wall destroyer. Did you seriously think the very technique I created would actually work against me? You begged me to teach you claiming you wanted to save lives, but you only use it to show off your disgusting power. Who even are you? Right at that moment, the host returns, thanking everyone for waiting, and announces that the grand auction is about to begin. Oh, is it time already? What now? Another relic that belongs to me. I have questions, but the auction is urgent. Keep that pendant safe. Now watch closely, because this mystery is about to get intense. Once he leaves, Qian Sunj looks at the guy with the glasses and asks how he thinks that massive blow was deflected. Deflecting a saint rank attack was nearly impossible, even for him. Who is this guy? Meanwhile, Stephen thinks he finally has him within reach. His mind flashes back to an incident 20 years ago when an unknown calamity suddenly appeared on an island in Germany. The island was completely destroyed, and a helicopter was circling the area under the watchful eyes of reporters. Hello, we are broadcasting live over the island of Calamity. It has been 4 days since the 13th awakened Legum entered the area. We still cannot confirm what is happening inside, because he has not yet emerged. Multiple saints tried to enter, but none of them succeeded due to a thick wall of poison surrounding the entire island. And we will return with more updates as soon as they develop. Back then, when Stephen was still young, his partner warned him they could not get any closer. Stephen kept wondering how Legum managed to enter and fight in such an unreachable place. Why do I feel this way? All because of a bastard without divine blessing. What separates us? Power follower skills. You might be wondering the same thing I am. What am I missing? Saint Legum is finally walking out of the entrance. Hold on. Everyone looks completely shocked. It is Legum. Legum returned alive after conquering the Delta Calamity. Meanwhile, our main character only calmly muttered that it was hot as hell. While everyone else celebrated his return, saying Liam stole the spotlight once again, he simply thought it was totally fine. Now I get it all. Saint, where are you going? Pack up to leave. Aren't you taking your weapon? I do not need it. You guys can have it. I found something way better, exactly what I was lacking. Compared to Legum's, this is a divine weapon. Back at the auction, the host announces they will showcase one of the 8 great sacred relics of Liam. We will reveal the most powerful relic ever used by the Berlin Wolf. Everyone stares in awe, just as I imagined. There is it. I can finally lay eyes on Liam's relic once again. The very thing that will make me so much stronger. It was the ultimate bone club known as the Great Bone. My God, I cannot believe my own eyes. I had only read about it in history books. It is the supreme divine artifact in both historical and practical value. Who will become the owner of the Great Bone? The room erupts and shouts as everyone desperately tries to buy it. Our protagonist thinks, did I really use that before? But hey, Qian Sunung, that thing is... Though he was too shocked to listen. Not now, I'm busy. We will talk later. Captain, do something. I will call headquarters immediately. We cannot let them take it like this. Our hero gets annoyed at being ignored. Let the bidding for this item begin. The The starting price is $1 million, 5, 10, 30, 50 million. Suddenly, a flood of system messages pop up in front of our main character. His fame keeps skyrocketing. What is happening? The system finally calms down. Good grief. Why are people offering so much money for that cheap toy? Besides, isn't it obvious it's a legendary weapon forged by Liam himself? Liam gets even more irritated by this explanation. You might not know it, but there is a hidden reason. Trust me, things are about to get absolutely brutal. Accessories, amulets, tools, or magical weapons, every divine relic he created is considered the absolute best of the best. Anyone who wants one would do literally anything to get their hands on it. Let me introduce the Leo St. Stephen marker. Trust me, this guy is a total basket case. He has been hoarding Liam's relics from all across the globe. His power as a saint is so overwhelming that absolutely nobody dares to challenge him for these treasures. Too bad those relics only make up a tiny part of his hoard. I really need to chill out a bit. Ultimately, all auction proceeds go straight to a government account. But that is when our main character stops in his tracks. Wait, the cash goes straight to my personal account, so who cares who buys it? That is amazing. Perfect. Let the highest bidder take it. The auction keeps going, and suddenly Stephen Marker yells out, 1 billion. I bid $1 billion, he declares, freezing the entire room. He struts forward with sheer arrogance and snaps angrily. Did you not hear me? I will buy this relic for $1 billion. And if that is not enough, I can go up to 10 billion. The host stands there stunned, repeating that insane 1 billion figure. With that, everyone else is knocked straight out of the game. Nobody has that kind of cash. Even Sunjin, the glasses guy, look utterly defeated. Watch closely here. They cannot do a single thing about it, while Jian just watches the whole drama play out like a comedy show. Suddenly, the host shouts, sold. The giant bone has actually been purchased for the mind-boggling sum of $1 billion. Later, we see some cleaners gossiping nearby. One of them asks, did you hear? They say it actually went for 1 billion. Yeah, that is not an amount regular folks can just throw around. People like us can only dream of ever seeing those kinds of numbers. Honestly, I just hope someone comes along and absolutely wrecks that show off. But something catches their eye, and looking up, they see a massive ice dragon looming right before them. The guy instantly regrets his words. Meanwhile, at the auction, Steven celebrates his prize. Though to Jian, that legendary relic still looks like nothing more than a plain ordinary bone. Steven can barely contain his excitement. I got it. I actually have it right in my hands. Everyone around him cheers and congratulates him, calling him the absolute greatest. But a massive explosion detonates right in front of his face. While Steven wonders what is going on, the colossal ice dragon breaks in instantly, unleashing absolute panic. People scream in terror at the arrival of this calamity, and the creature simply speaks, I found Liam's relic. Its gaze locks onto Steven as it roars with insane fury. The monster charges straight at him at full speed, but Steven just smirks and starts channeling his devastating lightning power. He delivers a brutal strike that sends the dragon flying back. The sheer impact obliterates everything in its path. Laughing, Steven mentions that this is the first time he is actually glad a calamity showed up, since he can test his new divine artifact immediately. He stands there overflowing with confidence and crackling with lightning while holding the bone tightly in his grasp. But let's think about this. Something is seriously off here. Suddenly, the consequences of his reckless attack become painfully obvious. Someone notices the danger. The magical teleportation tower is collapsing because Steven slammed the dragon right into it. Total chaos erupts. If that debris falls, the entire floating island could crash down. Quick. Someone orders the disciples to combine their forces and stop this disaster. Others join in too, determined to cooperate, gathering their mana into a massive sphere of absolute power. And they blast it upward with all their might. The blast collides heavily with the ruined tower, keeping it from crushing the crowd. However, they all quickly realize that this simply will not be enough. The structure is way too massive, and there is no time to destroy it. Panic reigns supreme again as desperate people scream to run away. Suddenly, someone summons the fury of Apollo. A massive firestorm sweeps across the sky, vaporizing the debris before it can touch the ground. In just a second, the falling ruins turn to ash. Everyone instantly recognizes that jaw-dropping ability. It is Hugo the Sagittarius Saint showing up with his golden bow ready. Annoyed, he grumbles that the dumb lion needs to watch his strength because he nearly killed them all. The crowd thanks Hugo, but something else catches his eye. He glances over and spots another giant monster staring right at him with clear murderous intent. This beast looks like a weird mix between a dog and a dinosaur ready to strike. Hugo realizes with horror that another calamity is here. The creature glares at him, before whipping savage, fleshy tentacles straight toward the defenseless crowd. The trapped victims scream desperately for help. Furious, Hugo curses the monster and draws his bow, but a roar behind him makes him turn around instantly. It is that same blue dragon from earlier returning with its massive jaws wide open to swallow him whole. Now you and I are about to see the chaos peak just as Hugo notices the imminent danger. The beast caught him completely off guard from behind, and when he spins around, its mouth is already about to swallow him. All seem lost until Jian steps in and sends the beast flying with a single punch, leaving Hugo in absolute shock. Our main character obliterates the monster, and Hugo thanks him with deep relief, admitting he just saved his life. All right, you and I are about to watch Jian absolutely lose his mind, calling out Hugo for being a combat saint who always needs a mere production saint to save him. Our main character admits he gets incredibly anxious every single time he leaves Hugo alone. That leaves Hugo totally depressed, and they start bickering like usual until something else suddenly catches their attention. It is Steven charging toward them, while screaming and holding that massive bone, shouting at everyone to stay back while he tests his brand new weapon. The monster roars right back at him, and John realizes he almost forgot that giant beast was even still standing there. Floating above Steven starts charging up lightning again, screaming that nobody's allowed to ruin the perfect stage he set with this giant bone. But John senses something off as the beast roars. Right then, Steven unleashes his sovereign skill, Victor's battlefield. A massive shield of crackling lightning forms around the entire area. Smirking arrogantly, he tells them to watch closely inside this indestructible electrical storm. Before he was unprepared and relied on magic, but now they will witness the true power of the Great Bone. The crowd starts praising Steven, calling him the strongest saint ever, and claiming even Ligum would stand absolutely zero chance against him. Completely fired up, Steven drags that massive bone forward. John still does not buy any of it. Steven warns the monster to prepare for his wrath, then slams the bone directly onto its head. The beast does not even budge. Steven stares blankly, leaving everyone else standing there in utter confusion. Now pay attention here, because Steven just backs away, scratching his head while the monster stares at him with that exact same look of pure confusion. Suddenly, Steven flies into a rage, charges forward, and starts pounding the creature over and over without stopping. The monster loses its patience and delivers a brutal punch to his face, sending him flying. As he rolls away, Steven is still clueless. His attacks should have worked. Why is the weapon of Ligum totally useless? Back to Jian, who touches the lightning barrier, trapping them. He swears that once they get out, he will show absolutely zero mercy to that stupid lion. Using his sovereign ability like that was an incredibly stupid move. Even so, John decides they must handle the enemies right in front of them first. Just then, we see all the people possessed by the monster. They look like a zombie horde, and suddenly Hugo remembers something. These innocent people are not actually part of the calamity. They just fell under the control of its skill. Standing right there in front of the beast is likely using them as human shields. That is why they cannot attack carelessly. The possessed beg for help as they stumble forward, but John suggests they should probably aim for the head, making Hugo panic and scream what he is talking about. He admits he does not actually have a plan. He just wants to rip those things off of them. Hugo begs him to wait, but one of the monsters lunges at John with its mouth wide open. Our main character grabs it by the head, glares coldly, and says now, "And yeah, I know what you are thinking." He actually rips the parasite right off in one go, leaving Hugo completely speechless. John smiles and says it is easy. The man collapses unconscious, but he is finally free from the monster's mind control. Hugo asks if the man is okay. He replies that he is fine, just knocked out cold. Still in disbelief, Hugo asks how he managed that. John replies it was just pure brute strength. Hugo retorts that he cannot do that because he is not absurdly powerful like him. Our main character shrugs, saying he will handle them all anyway. He adds that he never expected much from a weakling like Hugo, which obviously makes his partner even more furious. Still, Hugo insists they cannot attack blindly and says he will cover him. Both of them begin releasing energy, Hugo with fire and Jian with black lightning. He asks Ephro if he still remembers how to do this, and Ephro responds with a highly confident smile. Our main character tells him to keep up. Hugo summons his flaming bow, and Jian adds that they should finish this instead of slacking off. The beast and all the possessed turn toward our main character, who charges up and shoots forward at high speed, launching himself straight at them. His electricity surges outward, hitting every possessed civilian and instantly shattering the monster's control. The creature glares at John in utter shock and immediately fires a barrage of mud projectiles directly at him. John crushes them with absolute ease, but he notices the monster was not just aiming at him. It was targeting the civilians Jian just saved, trying to possess them again while they were barely starting to wake up. From behind, Hugo gathers his power and fires a rain of burning arrows that destroys the incoming attack before it can reach them. The civilians huddle in fear. With a determined look, Hugo warns that as long as he is there, that monster will not touch anyone. Jan praises him and then yells at the hideous creature, demanding that it stop wasting time and come get him. The monster locks eyes with him as our main character prepares a massive punch that sends the beast flying through the air, roaring in agony. And trust me, that single punch from Jian completely obliterates the beast. Come along with me and watch our main character end this fight in an instant like it is absolutely nothing. Without that creature, the brainwashed victims should wake up soon. They are still on the ground, slowly recovering. Suddenly, something catches John's attention and he stops. He tries to process things as multiple system windows pop up, displaying all the new skills he just unlocked. One of those skills is Combat Instinct Level 1. The system asks if he wants to activate it. John checks the details and notices it requires divine power to actually function. It is the perfect moment to test things out, so he accepts. Meanwhile, Stephen is still desperately clutching his precious bone relic. Stephen curses under his breath, wondering how things went so wrong. Why is his grand relic not working at all? Is he unable to unlock its true power, or is he just weaker than that beast? Seeing the giant monster, the crowd panics, shouting that Stephen is cornered. But then everyone notices something else. John's massive energy floods the area, and with his bare hands, he completely shatters Stephen's ultimate skill. The villain is utterly speechless. His sovereign skill was shattered. Now, pay attention here, because the monster lunges forward to grab the relic and crush Jian. As the beast jumps to bite him, he simply tells it to shut up, slamming its head into the dirt and unleashing a massive shockwave. The shockwave sends Stephen flying, while John just stands there totally relaxed, with his hands casually slipped into his pockets. With its head buried deep in the ground, the beast cannot comprehend how a mere human could possess such monstrous power. It actually asks if he is even human, making John snap back, asking what kind of nonsense this idiot is babbling about. Then he delivers another earth-shattering stomp. A terrified Stephen watches the destruction, whispering that only one man in history could cause this level of chaos. He is... But before he can finish, John looks down at him with a terrifying smile, saying it is good to see him again. Calling him a filthy lion, Jian asks if he had fun dragging his name through the mud while he was gone. Stephen is on the ground, shaking with fear. He stammers that this is impossible and tries to strike, but freezes when the main character easily catches his relic barehanded. Shivering in terror, Stephen hears John whisper that he must have had a wonderful time playing with that cheap little toy. Then John crushes the bone into dust and sarcastically apologizes for breaking his dreams, calling his precious relic absolute garbage. He throws the shards in his face, proving all his efforts were completely useless. And trust me, this is where our main character decides to take his turn. Stephen begs for mercy, but it is too late. John punches him so hard he flies straight through the entire building. Cursing all the way, Stephen plummets into the abyss. Meanwhile, the saint lies unconscious nearby, slowly starting to open her eyes. Totally disoriented, she wonders where she is and why her head hurts so much. Back with John, Hugo stares in terror at the massive crater. Our main character bids a cold farewell to that pathetic lion, assuming he even survived that drop, of course. Hugo yells at him for throwing the guy from such a height, but John shrugs, saying his tough body will probably survive. Hugo asks if the hostages are safe, and John points toward them. Everyone is cheering and celebrating their survival from this nightmare. Then he snaps his fingers to call over Piggy, the former Pichu, who is now his incredibly adorable little pet. He orders the pet to scavenge any valuables, making Hugo sigh as he realizes Jian is as greedy as ever. While the pet vacuums up the loot, the two chat. Hugo asks about the person who originally lent Jian a cell phone. Jian casually replies that his name was Sunjai, a simple answer that completely paralyzes Hugo. John adds that the kid is connected to Gemini, and since he seemed pretty sharp, he might keep him around. Hugo starts shaking because John is talking about the exact son he desperately tried to keep away from this lunatic. Internally, he is screaming in absolute horror, realizing his son is now mixed up with this literal walking disaster. He pictures his son's face, remembering how hard he worked to hide him from Jian. His kids idolize the hero, and if they discover he is alive, it is all over. He mentions that Sunjai was traveling with a Gemini bishop who can use high-level teleportation magic. If he calls, they will teleport right over. This completely panics Hugo, who frantically insists that they have to escape immediately. Jun asks why they are rushing, so Hugo makes up an excuse, claiming the hero is probably too tired to deal with Gemini. John stops to think about it. Recalling his past history with Sunjai, he admits that Hugo actually has a good point. Maybe they really do hold a massive grudge against him. Hugo quickly tries to change the subject to keep them moving away. But right then, a voice shouts out for their dad. Hugo spins around in terror, wondering if they are calling John. Suddenly, Sunjai appears right behind them, freezing Hugo in his tracks. Hugo screams his name, completely shocked by how fast he arrived. Sunjai demands the truth from his father. Trust me, you and I are about to see absolute chaos unfold. All right, get ready, because you and I are about to watch this monster whisper Jian's name before launching another sticky attack. They fly straight toward him, but right before they hit Lime, leaps out of nowhere and swallows the monster completely whole. The system immediately announces that he has acquired poison resistance from the divine relic. His body of 100 poison skill expands, meaning any newly crafted relics will now have poison resistance as a base effect. John just stands there watching Lime devour the beast, and suddenly he starts screaming at him in pure rage. He cannot believe this little glutton is eating literal trash off the floor and commands him to spit it out right now. He grabs poor Lime and shakes him violently, while Hugo watches in silence, wondering if that creature came from the bone calamity. This could have ended terribly. Sanjay asks if that is the legendary slime, and Hugo realizes he is absolutely right. He read about it in a book. It is John's relic, that incredible power our main character unleashed earlier. That massive magical power, the only companion of his hermit father. Seeing that slime, Sanjay wonders if he really is the hero, getting more emotional by the second. Meanwhile, Hugo is left feeling totally devastated while Sanjay literally sparkles with excitement and an annoyed Jian keeps pulling on poor Lime. Now pay attention, because we're heading over to the Leo Temple headquarters. Inside the boardroom, the high brass are arguing heatedly because they still cannot find the Leo Saint. Since Gemini is famous for tracking people down, they suggest paying whatever it takes. This is Oliver, the Leo bishop we saw earlier, defying Diolas. Someone doubts if Gemini would even want to collaborate after the massive disaster they caused earlier. Oliver grumbles, claiming he was just trying to look cool since it was his first big public appearance. The discussion continues until someone cautiously asks if the person who defeated their leader could really have been Jian. Oliver dismisses this instantly, arguing that even if it was the hero, they already beat him once, and their saint is still unmatched. Suddenly, a phone rings in the background, playing a song that mocks Leo while completely praising Jian. The entire room falls dead silent and staring at her while she awkwardly apologizes for forgetting to silence her phone. The one speaking is Urim, the vice castellan of Leo and one of their top cardinals. A man furiously yells, asking what she thinks she is doing in such an important meeting, but Urim casually asks why they even want to find that bastard. Everyone is completely shocked, so she quickly corrects herself, saying that the guy is just really tough anyway. You might be wondering if that was a slip of the tongue, while another executive complains with pure rage. But Urim checks her phone and reads a text saying, "Sister, we have a super cool new uncle come home soon." The legends were real. As a quick note, using Nuna is a sweet way of saying older sister. The angry executive keeps yelling to ask if she's even listening, but Urim only wonders what having an uncle means. So she announces she's leaving, and they can decide the rest. She turns around and walks out, leaving them totally clueless. The guy with glasses stays furious, screaming at her as she walks away. Next, our story moves to the Aquarius dormitory, where Sophie Marty lives, as a massive crowd begs her to make a statement. They demand answers about the drama incident, Liam's actual role in all of this, and who exactly was taken away. They also demand the truth about 20 years ago, but the guard steps in, saying the saint needs to rest today. Any statement will be made through official channels, so they ask everyone to leave. From above, Sophie watches everything with deep anxiety. Wearing a face mask, she absolutely burns with rage against Liam, unable to believe he caused such massive chaos. Her mind flashes back to the drama tragedy where panicking crowds were screaming, desperately searching for an escape. Rumors spread that criminals kidnapped and then released her, and looking totally beaten down, she chose to remain silent. Suddenly, the collar Liam placed on her neck glows bright green. Everyone fears an attack, but it is just a holographic message. The hologram asks who killed him and demands that Liam tell everyone the truth about 20 years ago. Sophie panics completely, not knowing what to do. If she reveals the truth, the other saints will hunt her down. But if she stays quiet, Liam will never leave her alone. She is furious he did this to her while unconscious. Worst of all, she cannot even remove the damn collar. Screaming in pure frustration, she swears she will make Liam pay. Meanwhile, far from all that drama, our main character is totally relaxing while Cafrino stretches out comfortably on his lap. He calmly mentions that maybe today he should do some farming right before turning on the television news. And that is where we leave things, watching the reporter announce that Sophie remains locked inside, giving 0 statements. All right, you and I are about to see some serious chaos after what went down in drama, but Lee thinks that is not even enough. Next, we cut to the home of Hugo the Sagittarius Saint. An arrow flies right into the bullseye. A perfect 10. Hugo was the one who fired it. Using his brand new bow, he waits for Lee's opinion, claiming it is absolutely perfect. To him, it is way better than what that old goat made before. Our main character immediately gets annoyed by the comparison. So he just destroys the arrow that hit the bullseye. Smiling, he tells him that is what a real 10 looks like. Hugo stares and asks if he really had to do that. Even blindfolded Lee shattered his arrow, laughing that shooting is actually pretty fun. Hugo complains he did it on purpose and did not need to aim at him. Lee laughs, admitting he just wanted to annoy Tyson. Right then, someone approaches. It is Sungjae, who politely offers Lee some water and a towel, asking him to help himself. Our main character thanks him. The two of them sit down peacefully as the young man takes great care of him. Behind them, Hugo is burning with pure jealousy, so he asks his son if he brought his own father some water too. Sungjae tells him it is in the fridge and he can grab it himself. Lee can only smirk at that reaction. While Hugo pouts, pay close attention here, because after the drama event, Lee's stats shot up and it is finally time to invest them. The system announces that the holy domain of Ophiuchus, the Snake Palace, has been created. Being low level, the space is still small. The holy domain is where the Constellation Master lives, a private territory where they can store and unleash their massive power. Now Lee can control his very own domain. He can even teleport a low-rank avatar right inside this special place. The system adds that human avatars can strengthen the domain even further. That little detail immediately grabs his attention. Then Sungjae reminds him it is almost time to go since he has things to do. Lee realizes he completely lost track of time. Hugo asks if he has a meeting, and he says yes. He has a lot of people to meet today. Shortly after, Divine Captain Choi asks our main character if he is finally going to join the Gemini division. Lee keeps eating fried chicken and wonders if this guy ever gets tired of begging. Even the nearby employee is shocked by his appetite. Choi says that even if he is busy, recruiting talent is always worth it. Plus, he warns Lee not to play dumb with him. After all, he used Gemini's money to buy all those auction items and drama that cost millions of dollars. Lee literally just plays dumb right to his face. He wipes his mouth in total calm as if nothing happened. In his mind, Choi realizes the plan and curses him. I do not know about you, but I am really starting to love this crafty main character. Meanwhile, Lee remembers the saints he has already taken revenge on. The next one on his hit list is that purple witch. Then he agrees to join Gemini. Choi suggests setting a date, but Lee has one condition. He wants the badge Choi is wearing. The others immediately lose their minds, saying the saint herself awarded it to him personally. Lee tells them to back off. The adults are talking here. He points out that the badge is needed for Gemini's perks. They can promise support later, but he only trusts what is physically in his hands. Surely they can invest at least that much in someone with his talent. Choi is speechless, while the others beg him to decline. Lee urges them to decide quickly because he has another meeting scheduled. Then he checks his chat with Sungjae. The scene cuts to the young man reading the message our main character just sent him. Our main character warns him he will be a bit late, and Sungjae replies that he can take all the time he needs. The main character says okay. While on his phone, Sungjae thinks Nona will be shocked to find out Lee is actually her uncle. He is incredibly excited to see a reaction like that, after such a long time. He also plans to ask for an autograph on the dagger the main character made him, but suddenly someone grabs it, warning it is dangerous. The man says he is confiscating it. Sungjae immediately protests, demanding to know what he means. The one bothering him is the rank A Gemini Templar Yeonwoo. Sungjae seriously demands he return it. Yeonwoo talks down to him, asking if that is how he speaks to a senior, adding that they also like visiting this cafe. Sungjae is totally fed up. Cursing his luck, he wishes he went elsewhere, wanting to punch him, but stopping because this guy is Libra's son. That is why he acts so arrogant. Suddenly, a system window pops up. Janice's wish relic reacts to its owner's danger. Random skill activated. The dagger glows brightly, leaving the blonde guy frozen in pure confusion. Suddenly, Lee's head appears right in front of him, delivering a massive headbutt straight to his face. All of his companions freeze, unable to understand what they see. The dagger literally summoned Lee midair. The blonde falls while Sungjae celebrates. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Come along with me as Lee looks at Sunj completely lost and wondering how he got here. Meanwhile, the other guy is crying through his nose. Sunj asks him how he knew to show up right on time. Lijin explains he was eating fried chicken when his dagger's unique summoning skill suddenly activated. That is enough for him as he glares at the blonde guy. These punks are threatening Sanjay. How dare they touch his nephew? The rest are shaking, wondering if Sunj ever mentioned having such a terrifying mobster uncle. Nobody remembers that, but they all agree he is terrifying. Li Jian steps forward, ready to teach them a lesson. Everyone panics, and suddenly we flash back to the restaurant right before Li, the 1100th, was summoned. Bear Choi had already accepted the deal. He knew it was risky, but spending millions to recruit him was totally worth it. He also planned to get the badge back later by adding a very clever hidden clause into the contract. Handing it over, he warns him not to use it lightly, and he promises he will try. Troy asks him for the contract, but just as he's about to hand it over, Lian vanishes right before his eyes. Troy is left completely speechless. Just then, the waitress arrives with a bill for $790. Unbelievable. Now pay attention, because we are back at the cafe and those thugs are completely wrecked on the floor. The blonde guy tries to act tough, boasting that he belongs to Gemini and has money to burn. Lai Jan does not care and slaps him repeatedly until he begs for mercy. Li just orders him to stand up. He is just warming up. The guy panics because his magic shield is completely failing. Furious, he insults Li Jian and summons a giant monster right behind him. The main character just watches completely unfazed. The bystanders panic and scream for everyone to run. They know this is about to become a total disaster. John mocks him, saying that is what he gets for acting tough. He sighs because the guy screams way too much. He expected something amazing, but that power is completely useless, not even enough to light up a tiny piece of charcoal. A system message pops up. He dominated the enemy magic and obtained the data of rank S. Bolaf Ferris. Shocked, the blonde guy asks how this is possible. Is John a mage? He replies, no, he is just a blacksmith. After this, several system notifications pop up. The final one asks if he wants to use the data as a skill. John says he will show him how to actually use that skill, shouting manly fiery bull of Phalaris. A massive minotaur appears, destroying everything in its path. Soon after, the blonde guy is slammed against the wall, utterly defeated. Jian warns him that if he bothers Qian Sunj again, he will end up completely impaled. We have to admit this is pretty sweet. He tells Sunja not to fear those idiots because his uncle will protect him. At that moment, Chen Yoha arrives, frantically asking where Chenjai is. She looks at the mess and asks what happened, but Sanji rushes over excitedly, saying she will not believe this. He points ahead, telling her to look at the legendary hero who saved the world from 1,000 disasters, the icon from their childhood videos. We see young Sunjai and Yoha watching Jan back in the day. Now she stares in awe, whispering, Mr. Protagonist. She even pinches herself to make sure she is not dreaming. Glowing with excitement, she confirms it is him. She cannot believe how incredibly handsome he looks right now. 20 years ago, he had so many scars. Spending 20 years in the Devil's Tower, she expected him to look worse. But she tells herself that does not matter. What counts is what a great hero he is. She is just glad Mr. Jane is all right. Sunja warns her that she spoke out loud embarrassingly. The main character just smiles and greets her warmly. She formally introduces herself as Chen Yoha and thanks him for saving Sanji. He tells her not to be so formal. As Hugo's daughter, she is basically his niece. Those words deeply touch her. She apologizes for asking the moment they meet, but confesses she needs to ask him for a huge favor. He tells her not to be shy, thinking she wants an autograph. But as she starts asking, a lava monster roars behind them. Cho reacts to the loud roar, confused about what kind of favor this is. But he notices the roar comes from the beast behind him. Yoha instantly slices its head off, while Sanji hides away. She asks the main character for a second. She will ask her favor once she handles these annoying pests. Then she dashes off at full speed. Sanungji says she got like this because of John. He asks what his sister said. She wants my hand. What does that mean? Trust me, you and I cannot miss what comes next. All right, you and I are jumping right into the chaos as alarms blare across the city. This is not a drill. Several high-level calamities have just appeared and everyone needs to evacuate right now. Giant beasts flood the sky, tearing the city apart as people run for their lives. But wait, one of those massive monsters is already full of holes, like Swiss cheese. The powerhouse behind this total destruction is Yoha, with her spear. More monsters swarm her, but she pushes herself to the absolute limit. Without a single second of hesitation, she slices through them midair one by one. She wants to wrap this up fast to speak with her uncle. Too bad those terrifying monsters up in the sky won't stop roaring at the top of their lungs. Sick of seeing all this destruction and tired of them spawning out of nowhere, she decides to wipe every single one of them off the map in a single shot. Spinning her spear, she charges straight at them. Furious, Yoha screams at the beasts to not even dare ruin her upcoming marriage proposal. She throws her weapon with an overwhelming force that obliterates everything in its path. This is her ultimate skill, the Lotus Flesh. The blast leaves behind absolute devastation. Watching from a distance, Cho is stunned. He only followed her out of worry, but it is clear she does not need any help. Her battle instincts easily surpass Hugo's level. But the moment Yui spots Jian, she gets completely distracted. Right then, a monster creeps up behind her. Just before it can strike, John steps in, saving both her and Xian Sunjai in the nick of time. I know you noticed her blushing too when she mentioned how insanely fast he dodged that attack earlier. She admits some humans are truly incredible. But suddenly, a terrifying beast woman with a whip appears declaring that Jian is going to be her new favorite pet. Riding on top of a massive mutant tortoise, the villain asks our main character why everyone seems so eager to play with fire these days. Jian replies that he was not looking for trouble, but he does need rare crafting materials, so this is actually the perfect opportunity. She laughs, saying he will make great furnace fuel and a very entertaining human to beat into submission. Realizing they belong to the dreaded illusion tribe, our hero prepares to stop them. Then he asks Yui why she is spacing out. He calls her out for trying to fight alone again, telling her to leave this to him and protect the civilians with Sunjai. He trusts them because they are strong, so they should let him handle these two. Yui smiles and agrees right away. Sunjai summons his massive stone giant, while Yoha readies her spear. John just grins, saying it is finally time to have some real fun. Right then, the whip-wielding beast attacks him like a wild animal, demanding to see his pain and wanting to make him suffer. Jan keeps one hand casually in his pocket, effortlessly dodging every single lethal strike. She finally wraps her whip around him. While she celebrates her easy catch, our main character remains completely unbothered. She hurls him through the air, smashing him into buildings before slamming him down. But Jian just snaps her whip, saying she talks way too much for someone so incredibly weak. He mockingly asks her if that is really all. Smiling, she says not even close as her giant tortoise blasts a massive wave of fire right at Jian. A huge explosion rocks the entire area. Meanwhile, Sunjai's stone summon shields the escaping crowd from falling debris and urges them to hurry. Sunjai feels a wave of relief, proud that he kept everyone safe. You and I can feel Yui's anxiety here as she agrees to the plan but stares worriedly at John's massive explosion. She knows he is powerful, but they are dealing with the illusion tribe, a high-risk, red-level threat. Even our hero could struggle if he is still suffering from the Devil Tower's aftermath. If so, she has to go rescue him. Sunjai reminds her that John told them to fall back, but she promises to return soon and tells him to hide. The entire battlefield is left completely devastated by the blast, but our main character is still standing there totally unharmed. The villain thinks she overdid it by turning him to ash, but John just laughs, noting that this is some real high-quality heat. Unlike that weak fire from the blonde Gemini guy, this intense heat will make the perfect fuel for his blacksmith forge. The system alerts him that he has acquired premium forge fire. The monster woman is utterly terrified to see him survive her hellish flames. With his fuel secured, John sees no reason to hold back and summons the mighty hammer of creation. The system confirms that compatible forge fire has been detected inside the creation workshop. Level 1 of the workshop activates gear enhancements and repairs with bonus luck, prompting him to select his target right now. Jian replies that he already knows his target. A green magic circle wraps around him while the villain watches utterly baffled. Suspicious, she tries to stop him, but out of nowhere, Yoha teleports behind her and unleashes her Thunder Roar skill. A massive red lightning bolt strikes the villain, but Yoha is horrified to see the attack did absolutely nothing to her. The beast curses and knocks her away with a heavy blow. Yoha coughs up blood while the villain commands her tortoise to finish her off, exactly as the giant monster opens its jaws wide to devour Yoha in one bite. Talk about an epic save, something stops the beast, and we see Jian holding it by the tail. Come along with me as John asks where it thinks it's going, since they still need to play before slamming that giant turtle down. Actually, it is a giant lizard. The beast collapses heavily with its massive mouth wide open. Even the monster woman is left stunned watching John lift and hurl that hellish lizard with his bare hands. He warns her that if she touches Yua again, he will wipe out her race, making her panic from sheer pressure. She feels his terrifying aura swallowing her whole, unable to believe a mere human could overwhelm a proud illusionist. So she decides to end the game and begins to transform. While Yua shields herself from the immense power, Jian stays calm as the monster admits she hates this untrainable form. Now she has to treat him as a real enemy. She is Hellwing's a red danger class calamity. She vows to burn John and this entire area to ashes, activating her calamity skill. Hell Prison, she charges the main character at high speed, obliterating everything in her path. Now pay attention here. Right before the impact, Jian stops the attack with one hand as Yua screams in terror, and suddenly a massive explosion erupts. The shockwave demolishes nearby buildings, leaving the monster frozen, as he casually notes that it worked better than expected. The system announces that these plastic gloves upgraded with Hellwing's fire resist rank C- flames, granting resistance to fire and spicy food. Low durability, single use. What on earth is this? He stopped my hell prison using simple plastic gloves. Immediately after John's recovery, skill activates, and the damage from her attack starts healing rapidly. I will make you pay for burning down the city. From now on, you will keep my crafting workshop powered forever. What kind of insult is this? Insult. What are you even talking about? You are seriously underestimating my gloves. Do you have any idea how useful they are for eating spicy chicken? The system warns that the negative energy is too strong to absorb. Immediate purification is required. Purification. Ah, do you mean this purifying strike? John begins launching punch after punch. While the giant lizard watches in awe, you can imagine my reaction when Jian complains about how hard she is to purify. The system responds that a defeated and dead target cannot be purified. Wait, did she die that easily? What a pain, I have no other choice. Since my fire source died, I will use you instead. The Hell Lizard surrenders. The Hell Lizard has been captured. The tiny beast appears and waves a white flag at Jian. All right, what should I name you? Option 1, torch. Option 2, gas tank. Option 3, flashlight. Option 4, coal. And option 5, lizard. The poor creature is left totally bewildered since every name is worse than the last. What a terrible sense of naming. In the end, the system announces that he chose the name Torch. Uncle Jian, is everything all right over there? Yua asks, while he also wants to know if they are safe. They say they are fine, but Yua adds that she must ask something important, reminding him of his promise to propose after defeating the calamities. John is stunned. Wait, does she really want to propose? Before he can finish that thought, she cuts in to ask if he actually sacrificed himself in the Demon Tower. The main character blinks in confusion, asking what she means, as Yua admits she always had this lingering doubt. Everyone called it a sacrifice for humanity, but the Red Eyes incident never made sense when we were almost wiped out. How could Jian fall as the strongest saint with no proof or way to investigate? She had to keep those doubts to herself. But seeing how powerful he still is today, she is certain. John did not sacrifice himself voluntarily. He fell into an evil trap. John admits she is incredibly sharp, just like Tyson's daughter. He confirms to her that yes, that is exactly what happened. 20 years ago, he was betrayed in the Demon Tower, stabbed by one of the 12 saints sent to defeat Red Eyes. Yua cannot believe it. Weren't the saints supposed to save the world with you, Uncle John? You were humanity's only hope. Why would they do such a thing? He replies that it was probably because he was simply superior to them. Since he defeated Red Eyes completely alone, they tried to kill him for that very reason. Without the Calamity leader, they could rule the world as they please, and the only obstacle was John himself. While he is not entirely sure, it is the only logical explanation, leaving Yua completely horrified. So what do you and I make of this? Jian suffered alone, while traitors stole his glory for saving the entire world. Get ready, because our main character is about to make everyone pay. He promises to make those people suffer 1,000,000 times more for what they did. Everyone is left speechless, until John pulls out his phone, searching the news and spotting a wild headline. Saint Sophie Marty is suddenly visiting Korea for a press conference at 7 at night, the final item on my schedule. Cut to the conference hall, where we see the saint waiting inside a highly elegant private lounge. Reporters crowd the room, flashing cameras and recording, desperate to hear her speak, while two nearby figures whisper. One wonders what could possibly be so important for her to call a sudden press conference. The other suspects it is because of her caller's strange message on drama, or those rumors about Jian still being alive. Either way, they are sure she will reveal something huge. Sophie tries to look calm, but she is utterly terrified inside. Oh my God, I am dead, she thinks. Should I just blow off this conference and run away? But with that relic wrapped around her neck, she has no clue what might happen. She even fears it is a bomb. Now pay attention here. To survive, she has to obey John, who she already imagines controlling her like a puppet. Unlike the others, he was not joking when he threatened to eliminate her, and just thinking about it makes her shake. Stepping up to the microphone, she declares she called everyone to expose a truth hidden for 20 long years. She asks if they remember the incident at the Devil's Tower, triggering an instant reaction from the crowd. The Devil's Tower, the raid on Red Eyes. They cleared that mission, which is why the 12 saints are still heroes today. Sophie takes a deep breath and confesses that the real hero who actually defeated Red Eyes was John. At first, the crowd just whispers his name in confusion, but once they realize the truth, the entire room erupts into total chaos. Confused reporters yell out asking, "Saint, what do you mean by that? Is this really true? Are you saying Jian beat Red Eyes alone and not Stephen Marker? Tell us what happened." The place is going wild. Does this mean our main character is alive and the saints lied? Sophie hesitates, cracking under the intense pressure. Right as she is about to confirm it, someone interrupts, calling it impossible, as a sinister man appears behind her. She turns pale with fear upon seeing Jean-Louis Morin, the saint of cancer, who mockingly sneers at her terrified face. According to him, she is clearly in no condition to keep speaking in front of everyone. Right, Sophie? He fakes concern, telling her she looks awful and insisting this press conference simply cannot go on. She tries to protest, but he shuts her down instantly, demanding to know what she is saying on a live mic and ordering her to remember her place. According to him, her only job was to keep playing the fake saint just like she always did. I mean, think about it. What is she even whining about to throw this massive drama? If she does not want her mouth ripped open in public, she better shut up. Then he cuts the mic and addresses the press. He apologizes to the reporters, claiming Sophie is being blackmailed into giving these completely fake statements. Still, he tells them not to worry because he will keep her safe. And after another quick apology, he ends the conference. Reporters immediately shout in protest, demanding to know about Jian. Right then, he unleashes a dark power toward the crowd, declaring that John died in the demonic tower 20 years ago, and there is nothing left to discuss. He argues that if Jian really returned, he would have shown himself, so why has he not appeared? But the journalists push back, asking why the blackmailer would ever use Jian's name if Sophie was really being extorted. If this meeting ends like this, suspicions against the saints will explode, so they demand clear answers, fueling his rage even more. He calls them mindless insects and begins channeling dark energy into his hand until a voice behind mockingly insults his face. Are you really trying to massacre all the reporters here? The second he hears those words, John's kick flies straight into his face, mirroring the end of the last episode, with that creepy guy confronting the saint. Just as the guy tries to attack the reporters, our main character lands a brutal blow that sends him crashing down before the stunned crowd. Sophie stares blankly at him and gasps, "Oh my God, he is actually here." The villain barely understands what just happened, as John grins wickedly and says, "Long time no see, you rotten crab. Your face is still as wrinkled as ever. Have a little gift," and then he slams something on him. The man looks down in confusion, spotting a tail, while we briefly see John's new pet missing a chunk of its body. And that is where we leave it, our main character holding the poor lizard's tail, smiling and saying, "Hey, all right, you and I need to dive into this absolute chaos," starting with someone screaming about who ruined their conference while the crowd whispers about some giant demon lizard tail. But out of nowhere, the guy pops up right behind our main character, repeating the exact same question about that demon lizard tail. He mentions hearing that someone crushed the beast the second it appeared, accusing Jian, who just clicks his tongue in annoyance. The enemy is shocked that Jian instantly exposed his clone ability, leaving him completely baffled as he demands to know who he is. Our hero replies with total confidence, asking who else they could possibly be looking at other than the legendary Jian himself. The entire hall drops into dead silence. From the shock, everyone's staring blankly until someone suddenly bursts out laughing. That breaks the tension, and soon the whole crowd is laughing, calling his claim a total joke, while a reporter snarks that he is way too handsome to be the hero. Now everyone is just mocking him, admitting he definitely has some skill, but is clearly out of his mind. If you wanted to show off so badly, you should have picked a much better target. But Jian cuts him off, sending him rolling with a brutal strike from his tail before casually spinning his weapon in his hand like nothing happened. Seriously, does everyone here need a beating to finally get the message? "What are you looking at? Bring it on," he roars, charging the terrified reporters who scream for someone to save them. Now pay attention here, because just as Sophie thinks she can make a run for it, Jian materializes right behind her. "Oh no, you do not. Where do you think you are going? You rat, you are going to finish your pretty speech right now. Tell them how you fled from Red Eye 20 years ago and lived like royalty after leaving me behind to die. Go on, spit it out." The guy snaps back, calling him a bastard, but before he can continue, the whole building shakes violently as the system flashes a red warning. Threatening energy from the darkest stars, closing in pitch black power, flooding the room as John starts to completely fall apart. Everyone watches in sheer terror, utterly clueless about what is happening or what kind of nightmare they have unleashed. It is not you, idiot. It is this entire mess, radiating the divine aura of a god, just as a massive dark shadow looms behind Jane. It glares at Jian, noting that he really is the real deal, which is absolutely perfect. "I have no idea how you survived the Devil's Tower, but since you are back, let us give you a proper welcome," releasing a crushing pressure right at Jian. Then the scene cuts to Hugo's house, where he is preparing some food while letting out a sigh of relief. Grateful they have finally left so he can eat in peace, he turns on the television hoping to find something interesting to watch. But suddenly, the reporter announces she is broadcasting live from Sophie Maurice's press conference, where absolute chaos has broken out. A man claiming to be Liam has stormed the venue and is now locked in a brutal clash with the Sagittarius Saint. I know what you are thinking, but yes, he actually looks thrilled while fighting, leaving Hugo pale and wondering what kind of crazy stunt he's pulling now. And we are right back to the fight. The Cancer Saint gathers dark energy in his hands and fires a massive blast, sparking widespread panic. But Jian casually dodges, calling his attacks weak. That is never going to work, I got you now. The Saint widens his attack to corner our hero, but right before impact, he is shocked to see John block the entire blast using only his dagger. Not only that, he is upside down balancing on a single hand, leaving the crowd so amazed they actually start cheering for him. The enemy keeps spamming dark blasts, but Jian leaps over them all, landing right in front of him to announce it is his turn. He charges ahead at full speed, while the foe gathers power, again mocking him by asking if he spent 20 years practicing gymnastics. Evading another energy blast, he laughs in his face and with a single flawless motion, slices the Cancer Saint completely in half. However, John is caught off guard again as his opponent's body dissolves into ash, forcing him to curse in frustration. So you spent all these years practicing this little trick. What are you trying to be, some Naruto ninja now? The Saint smiles, taking it as a compliment, while Sophie readies herself right before unleashing a dark tornado that drains the life of everyone nearby. Jane curses, demanding to know how he expects to cover up this disaster. But the Saint says he will handle the consequences when the time comes. For now, he has decided to eliminate John, openly planning to use the entire crowd as a human shield. So you were the one who stabbed me in the Devil's Tower, Jian realizes, while the other laughs, asking if he is seriously still obsessed with finding the culprit. He adds how pathetic it is for the world's greatest hero to cling to such petty, insignificant grudges from the past. They might even mistake him for a street thug, but Jian fires back, calling him a loudmouth coward hiding behind mere clones. The man sneers, explaining these are no ordinary everyday clones. He created them using the reporter's life force, meaning if Jian destroys one, that life ends with no promise the rest will survive. And trust me, we all know those dirty tricks suit him perfectly. Let's dive in. This arrogant Saint asks him if those are his last words before sending him to the grave. He throws all his clones at John, but they instantly panic when they spot a tail. How did that get there? It is one of his new skills. John is already right behind him. He charges in, screaming to dodge this, landing a direct blow as the system suddenly activates. You can summon any target of your choice to serve as a shield for the Ophiuchus bearer. You can only summon things recently touched. Up to 3 targets can be registered, moving based on your latest contact. What on earth is this? Our main character strikes him again, leaving the guy clueless about how Jian found the real one. 13th sense. It lets you detect weak points. Our lead reminds him that his tricks have always been cheap and dirty. I would be an idiot not to notice. Bullseye Jian rips a crystal straight from his body, leaving the Saint choking in pure agony. Not even the Gemini constellation could find my core. How on earth did you manage to do it? Suddenly, the Ophiuchus avatar appears and completely devours the crystal. Watch closely because the system goes absolutely wild here. It is a Cancer core fragment, with 33% of his soul, plus Cancer's power cracked by 20%. Their god is terrified, and John can now absorb all his cosmic energy. Just like that, all the dark power surrounding them completely vanishes. Sophie is utterly lost, but that terrifying dark energy is gone. Confused reporters are left wondering who on earth won this brutal battle. As his real body crumbles to pieces, the Cancer Saint demands to know what happened to John inside that tower. He claims he feels the power of a god within him. John replies that even in defeat, the guy just cannot shut up. He promises he will put that valuable core he just ripped out to excellent use. But the Saint warns him that he still has a few tricks left to cause some serious trouble. Then he vanishes completely. John wonders what he meant, knowing a scumbag like him would never go down without making some noise. Right then, Jian sees Hugo calling. The moment he answers, his friend starts screaming at him, calling him an idiot. What on earth are you doing? There is no time. Get out of there right now, you psycho. I am seeing everything on the news. You just defeated a Saint, and now a barrage of missiles is heading straight for your position. What? The scene shifts to outer space, where a satellite locks multiple missiles onto Earth, targeting their deadly objective. John freezes. Missiles. Suddenly, they hurtle toward Earth at terrifying speeds. It turns out the Mormouth missile is a catastrophic weapon built by Capricorn and Gemini after Legum disappeared, just in case an invincible threat emerged. This final trump card of humanity can wipe everything near the disaster off the map with a devastating orbital strike. Can you believe they actually built such a destructive weapon? John reads the play. They rigged the missiles to launch automatically if that guy's life signals went dark. Then he remembers the warning. That high-ranking clone he beat was his real body, rigged to trigger this trap upon death. John did not just stand there thinking, run now. But he knows running will not solve a single thing. Those missiles would wipe out entire cities. Hugo's right, but what is our main character planning to do now? He smiles, saying he has a plan. He looks at Sophie, who goes pale, hearing they still have one crazy option left. At this point, Sophie is devastated. She has done nothing but face constant humiliation. Look at this, the missiles keep falling and are about to strike the defenseless city. John grabs Sophie while she begs him to let go. He triggers his power, and the system announces the Gemini Bishop's levitation and teleportation. He teleports directly before the Mormouth missile. They appear right before the plunging missile. Holding her, Jian screams to use her power and melt this giant threat. Terrified, she demands to know how she is supposed to do that as he throws her head first toward the bomb. John insists there is no choice. If she fails, they and everyone down there will die. Grabbing her arm, he hurls her into the void. She flies off screaming furiously. Legume, you absolute bastard! He just tells her to pull off a miracle already. She keeps crying and cursing him until the system announces Aquarius's descent, and even the holy deity herself is left utterly dumbfounded by such sheer madness. Goddess, do something. Even the deity of Aquarius curses Jian for being insane, but there is no time left. She has to act. The saint piles up endless buffs, channeling all her power into a crying, terrified Sophie, until a single tear activates the skill. Tears of the goddess. And just like that, a colossal wave slams the missile to stop it. You and I cannot miss what comes next. Come along with me and watch as this massive missile shatters to pieces while Sophie celebrates her victory. But suddenly she notices John let her go falling into the abyss. He just looks back, waves goodbye, knowing her upgrades will keep her safe. Right after a massive blast of water sweeps away the remaining missiles. He did an amazing job, but if those fragments hit the ground, everyone is doomed. Panic spreads as the debris rains down completely out of control. Jan pauses suddenly, remembering that this weapon was created by Gemini. If so, he decides it is time to send that purple witch a little present. He calls Tyson immediately, asking if he can hear him. An alarmed Tyson asks if he stops the missile, but Gian warns him there is absolutely no time and this is an emergency. He just needs his absolute coordinate skill, that Sagittarius power that teleports any target exactly where you want it. It works like a charm for attacks that require absolute precision. Tyson is shocked to hear our protagonist sounding so desperate and wonders just how bad things really are. Still, he activates his magic circle to send it right away. Our protagonist thanks his #1 servant as a new notification pops up. Sagittarius grants him absolute coordinate with 238 uses. Gian knows that will be more than enough. He gathers purple energy as the system repeatedly warns him that absolute coordinate has been activated by the authority of Sagittarius. He begins redirecting all of the falling missile debris to another location. Pay close attention here, because now Gian is sending a massive gift to that witch, while everyone watches in utter shock. The broken pieces of the missile float upward, and everyone realizes they have actually been saved. Someone screams in excitement that it must be him, unable to believe he made the entire missile vanish. But suddenly, a telepathic call comes from the Gemini Yin-Yang Palace, ordering Bishop Choi to return immediately. Jian recognizes the voice, instantly calmly replying and asking what the issue is. The furious voice screams back, demanding to know what he did, as the debris rains down on the Yin-Yang Palace. We finally see that John sent the wreckage straight to the Gemini Temple. Then the scene cuts to the Blue House. Inside the president's office, everyone is frozen. The protagonist appeared and completely ruined their massive press conference. Not only that, but he defeated the Cancer Saint and stopped the missile heading straight for Korea. None of this makes any sense, and at that exact moment, John crashes right through the ceiling, holding Choi and Hugo. Everyone is left in absolute shock as he asks what these dirty rats were whispering about. Are they hiding something? The room turns ice cold as John warns that since he is here, he will settle this once and for all. He came for his money after discovering they still control the account containing the profits from selling all his belongings. He remembered on his way home, leaving everyone wondering if this guy is actually the terrifying Gian. If it is him, they are dead. John commands them to shut up. He already tried logging in using ISO authority with no luck, even though he clearly remembers naming Hugo as his legal representative. So something is wrong. Nervously, they explain that the Korean government found it hard to fully trust Hugo. John interrupts them, asking what they just said as they nervously make excuses about Hugo being a foreigner. After our protagonist vanished, they could not trust a foreign saint when Korea did not even have one of its own. And due to several incidents, the Sagittarius faction became extremely weak. In the end, they handed responsibility to someone more trustworthy than Hugo, who listens to them with absolute rage. Hugo is holding back tears, calling him the worst friend ever. He just shrugs, demanding his money before he wrecks the place. I know you are wondering what happens to them next, but a deafening voice suddenly commands them to shut up. That voice paralyzes everyone. A sandal flies across the room, and John smiles, saying she finally decided to show up. She declares that his account has already been seized, and he can get lost stepping inside with supreme confidence. It is the Gemini Saint Harkin who demands his entire fortune to rebuild the temple he literally just blew to pieces. She accuses Jian of sending the missile wreckage straight to her palace, leaving her absolutely ruined. Does he have any idea how much damage he caused? She screams in fury, but Jian just asks who she even is. That drives her completely insane. She commands him to shut up, aiming to destroy him right now while forming a massive magic circle overhead. The system announces that the magic power of Gemini is rapidly rising. Everyone flees from Gemini in terror as she summons a powerful spirit. Join me next time to see what happens next. Let's dive into Gemini's ultimate move. He is about to summon an otherworldly spirit overflowing with absolute godlike power. Down below, Raken is screaming that John is finally done for. The Spirit Queen. Lily Queen answers the call. Slowly emerging, she transforms into a breathtaking fairy right before everyone's completely stunned faces. But John stays totally cool. Raken proudly brags that Lily Queen is a spirit almost on par with a holy god. She asks if he really thinks he can stand against such power, but Jian suddenly appears right in front of her, grabs her, and throws her away, telling her to get lost. She flies right out of the hole he made when he crashed in. Everyone watches her soar, screaming in absolute horror at how he treated their saintess. Her entire summon instantly starts getting sucked back into the magic circle. Gemini's magic fades away, and Lily Queen desperately tries returning to her own realm. But right as she is about to vanish, Jian grabs her head, completely pinning her. He asks where she thinks she is going, and drags her out of the magic circle. The system suddenly announces he has successfully captured the Spirit Queen Lily Queen. Jen mocks her, asking if he looks like a fool and how she dares run. Terrified, she begs for forgiveness over and over. Cut to Jian leaving the place completely in ruins. He says he got his cash back, so now it is time to grab some delicious food. Now pay attention here. Jian notices something off in the files. Why did the real Hiji not show up in person? She is the type to drop a meteor on the city if she gets mad. John admits he has been overthinking that. With all the chaos he caused at the Yin-Yang Palace, she never showed. That can only mean one single thing. The situation is confusing, but our protagonist is absolutely sure. Something is keeping her away. As they keep talking, John decides that Airhead would never control her temper on purpose. He thinks he knows where she is hiding, so he's going to visit. Then we cut to the apartment of Chu and Sanjay, Hugo's son. Someone suggests eating while working and asks if he wants a burger. Sanjay looks pretty down, says he would rather eat something else, and asks Jimin what he wants to order. Jimin replies that he also wants something different. Just then, Hugo suddenly sneezes and she teases him. From behind, Gemini jokes that she's only playing around with him. Someone adds that Iso would faint if he knew, but he is not coming. We switch scenes and CEO looking very stylish as they explain he went to do a favor and will be late. John announces it is interrogation time. Look at this with me. The Fairy Queen is trapped inside the Ares relic. It is an incredibly tough glass case meant for relics. Our main character warns her to answer correctly, and she terrifiedly agrees. He tells her being in a glass box is 1,000 times better than ending up trapped in a book, so choose carefully. He shows her the S-rank relic book that seals everything, an inventory item that stores targets as text and can camouflage itself. Right now it looks like a simple recipe book. The poor fairy panics and nods rapidly while John wonders why the witch hasn't shown up. So it is not that she didn't want to come, she just can't. So she must be trapped somewhere, specifically at Qian Sunja's house. The terrified fairy instantly confirms he is exactly right. John warns her that he is only giving her one shot. Where is she exactly? He pressures her again, asking if she will talk nicely or if he should guess. She finally confesses by pointing at a statue. Jian smiles. It is the same angel statue destroyed earlier. He knew it. This entire situation smelled like a trap from the very start. He remembers hearing that she kissed it, figuring out that this was the witch's coordinate marking magic. He recalls Gemini's words clarifying they were not theirs, but that the saintess kissed them to give her blessing. That links directly with his 13th sense. John glares darkly at the statue as the system announces his 13th sense is activating, letting him interfere with the spirit world. Suddenly, the statue starts screaming at him desperately. Furious, she yells at Lily Queen for telling him everything. That spirit turns out to be Hiji, the actual saintess of Gemini. She floats out of the statue like a weeping ghost. It is Hiji in spirit form, cursing her luck for getting caught by him of all people. She cannot believe this outcome. If things had gone differently that day after the Devil's Tower collapsed, none of this would have even started. She remembers that exact moment. The Devil's Tower shattering to pieces, a cup hitting the floor, and her wondering about that weird energy. Then she realizes Ligam is still alive. That very day, Jian arrived at the apartment with Sunj and Jiwoo. She was already shocked to see him return safe and sound. And think about it, of all places, he went straight to his friend's son's apartment. What do you think happens next? Listen up, you and I are going to find out how she used her rank to secretly dig into John's hidden plans. She activated Gemini's teleportation skill. Since only her soul traveled, she had to possess a nearby physical vessel. She chose an angel statue in Sunji's apartment. Right after possessing it, he walked in, glanced at it, and called it disgusting. When he smashed the statue, she was trapped. If your vessel gets destroyed during a possession, escaping becomes impossible, sealing your ability away forever. She had no choice but to stay trapped inside. Luckily, Gio arrived and decided to hand that broken relic over to Hiji. Any cheap sealing skill would do the trick as long as someone could fix up the damaged statue. So Piggy whipped out some glue. Back in the present, she demands Sunji fight Ligam, but he flat out refuses. He has no desire to fight his own uncle, leaving her totally confused. Ligam and his cult are mortal enemies. As a Gemini Templar, Sunji is supposed to oppose him. Instead, he makes his choice and quits the cult, completely shocking her. Sunji claims that even serving Gemini, his uncle Ligam, is his ultimate hero. If staying means fighting him, he resigns immediately. He rips the badge right off his chest and throws it down. Hiji watches in absolute terror as the sacred emblem falls. The moment it hits, everything starts shaking. Now pay attention, this is the terrifying wrath of a divine god. Sunji's path shifts toward Ophiuchus, triggering the fury of the Gemini goddess, who unleashes her crushing magic directly on him. Instantly, a deep red liquid pours from his body, leaving him completely clueless as to what is happening. Everyone screams his name in panic. Suddenly, he loses consciousness and collapses. Hiji desperately begs him to apologize right away. As an heir candidate, the goddess might forgive him if he targets Jian. She warns him that the main character is ruthless and backstabbing. Sunji shuts them down instantly. He screams right in their faces, accusing them of abandoning people whenever it suits their selfish needs. So hearing them call Jian ruthless makes him absolutely furious. He still remembers the supermarket, when those hypocrites ordered everyone to run and leave the suffering people behind. They might act like cowards, but he remembers Jian slaying a monster for a kid and saving him and Yoha from danger. To him, Jian always protects the helpless. The real phonies are them pretending to save the world while only looking out for themselves. Let's pause here. He remembers watching Jian on television as a kid and thinking he is my hero. So the main character isn't some fool they can look down on. Right then, Freya, the goddess of Gemini, appears. Finally, the true Gemini goddess manifests herself standing tall and imposing over Sunji's collapsed, weak body. The system triggers a warning. Because of Sunji's bold declaration, his divine punishment is raised to the absolute maximum level. She gathers power, ordering him to vanish along with his cursed hero. Suddenly, John calmly says skill. The goddess looks absolutely horrified. He raises his hand, gathering a dark energy, an abyssal slash. She freezes, and John cleanly severs the link between the goddess and Sunji. Look closely at this moment. Chaos erupts throughout the Inyang Palace. People are screaming, begging to pull victims from the rubble with magic, while others desperately call for water spells to fight the fire. But the second they try, one man realizes he cannot channel any magic whatsoever. They quickly warn Bishop Ken that something is wrong. They can no longer feel any of their magical energy. Ken orders them to contact nearby Templars to investigate. Everyone freezes upon realizing absolutely no one can cast magic anymore. We cut to the Templars battling disasters. They flee in terror because Gemini's power has completely vanished from existence. Back with John, the result of his attack is clear. The goddess's magical aura has completely evaporated. He tells Sunji he is safe now and apologizes for the danger, thanking him for believing in his uncle until the very end. Sunji stares at him for a moment, then smiles through his tears, deeply moved by his words. Suddenly, a voice screams from behind you, bastard. What did you do to me? Turning around, they see Saint Ray. She is furious because her divine magic is gone. Now we flash back to when John used Abyssal Slash with the active system. The system explains that he severed the connection between Ray, the saint of Gemini, and her holy goddess Fra. Holy gods consume massive amounts of power and face immense risks when they choose to directly interfere on Earth. That is why they transfer their power to successors. The saints then share that energy with their own Templars. In simple terms, the god is the power plant, the saints are substations, and Templars are the plugged-in devices. So if you cut that connection at the root, everything else instantly shuts down. And that's where we leave things today, watching Jian mock her with a smug grin. Trust me, it gets even better. How does it feel to be total trash? Now, Purple Witch, stick with me to watch this goddess fall in the worst way. Weakening connections with Abyssal Slash. This is a double S-rank cancer authority capable of slicing through absolutely anything. And when Gion fused it with his own skill, something completely new happened. Ray stares at our main character in utter shock as he claims he can even sever her contract with that filthy goddess. This forbidden act shatters memories, bonds, and loyalty. The more he masters it, the more skills he unlocks. Ray just cannot believe his eyes. There is no way a holy deity would allow this, so she warns him that he is about to face the wrath of a true goddess. Jian tells her to go to hell along with her deity. After all, this makes dragging that foolish goddess down in person much easier. He locks eyes with her cold and dark. Suddenly, a purple bolt shoots down beside him, filling the entire sky with lightning. Everywhere, people are wondering what is going on as a massive vortex of purple energy begins tearing the city apart. The system announces that the holy Gemini goddess is absolutely furious after losing her link with the Saintess and her Templars. She accepts the massive risk and decides to interfere directly. Jaeon and Haru watch closely as the entire ground shakes, while that massive energy storm demolishes Sungjae's house, and Yuha's group braces for impact. Watch closely here, Gion just laughs it off as a flashy entrance. The goddess confronts him with terrifying power, but our main character just watches calmly. It is Fra, the Gemini deity, and the system warns her power is unstable. She charges lightning in her hands and blasts it straight at Gion, just like the system warned. An item is pulled from his inventory. Her attack surges forward without stopping, heading straight for him and obliterating everything in its path. But the goddess is left utterly shocked to see Gion completely unharmed. A fragment of the Cancer Core absorbs the divine power. All thanks to the item he stole from the Cancer Saint during their previous battle. Fra recoils in horror, recognizing that it is the fragment of another holy god. Gion continues absorbing her divine energy and comments that it is a pity he no longer has heaven's punishment. If he still had his sword, he could slice through anything, even deities. Right then, he opens the crafting workshop. Usable materials, the Cancer Fragment Lightning, and the Gemini Goddess's Vortex. Having no better option, he decides to go with the next available alternative. He moves forward with the Cancer Core and begins fusing both streams of energy together. The system announces massive damage to the Gemini deity. She screams in agony while Gion poses holding his dual Soul Reapers. The Holy Gemini Goddess suffers agonizing pain and humiliation. Everyone is left stunned. How is it even possible to actually hurt a deity? Suddenly, the Abyssal Storm's scythe shatters the weapon, only lasted for a single hit. Gion admits that was the best he could do while improvising. The goddess keeps writhing in pain and releasing more lightning, until the system warns that Fra, the Gemini Goddess, has gone completely insane. Right then they shout it was a direct hit. I bet you are wondering who did it too. Then Hugo appears, looking incredibly cool. Seeing the Sungjae and Yuha panic, screaming, "Dad!" as the Sagittarius god looms behind Hugo, ordering Fra to halt her invasion immediately. That leaves her instantly stunned. He then adds that pushing any further violates the rules, demanding that Fra retreat right away. Holy gods are strictly forbidden from interfering in this world with their physical bodies. Right after, golden chains begin to manifest. The system announces that the other gods, furious over this rule violation, are now activating the restriction seals. Fra is visibly shaken as all that power envelops her. The system warns that continuing to interfere on Earth will cost her faith, experience, and attributes. If she goes on like this, she could reach maximum hostility levels with the other holy deities. Everyone watches the scene completely helpless. Hugo clicks his tongue, saying it is a real shame. Suddenly, multicolored chains appear, sealing Fra's body as Hugo points out that the other gods do not want this either. He asks if she plans to keep pushing her luck. Out of nowhere, Fra begins letting out absolutely agonizing screams. Meanwhile, the Sagittarius Saint stands tall and firm. The area begins crumbling as Sungjae and the others cover their ears, gritting their teeth, while the Gemini goddess vows she will never forget this day. Furious, she points at Hugo and Gion. Our protagonist notices she is incredibly mad, so he flips her off, making her even more enraged. but her body begins disintegrating into pure divine energy. And the system announces he crushed the Gemini deity's pride, earning massive reputation among the countless beings watching over this world. He also gains a massive amount of Divine Throne experience, rising to beginner Divine Throne level 9. At Divine Throne level 10, trust me, we will witness a truly special trial. Come with me as we watch the Sagittarius god fade away while Hugo finally gives his approval. His reputation has grown so massive that a special quest triggers to awaken the double S-rank Ophiuchus core. Once it is over, they collapse in exhaustion. John laughs as he approaches Hugo, saying he arrived just in time. Even so, John admits his fury over what Freysa did to Sanjay, cursing that an arrow to her head was not enough. He tells him to wait because he plans to crush that cursed saint. Hearing this, Hugo smiles in relief and thanks him. Then he mentions he secured what John wanted from the Yin-Yang Palace. John gets hyped as Hugo shows him a scroll. The system explains that it is a soul record containing the contracts of all the Gemini avatars. In the background, Hugo asks how he got it. Hugo replies that invisibility and stealth are basic skills for an archer. He also mentions the emblem John gave him. He starts complaining to himself, while John watches silently, and the system announces the record is open to review the avatars. Berserker, the one-eyed mad warrior of legendary class, and the giant Yodan, king of giants, also legendary class. The warrior king Yarlite of the brightest god, also legendary. All Gemini avatars surrender to Ophiuchus. He can accept them as his own servants or keep them as prisoners. John really likes the sound of that option. The system adds that the commander imprisoned under the Yin-Yang Palace water also surrendered. Our main character assumes it is the mythical class one. Pay close attention here because Jian demands real proof of their absolute loyalty before he offers any trust. Suddenly, a purple vortex forms right above Jian. A body looking identical to Ag begins to emerge from it. He is shocked, but it is not really her since Ag is still a ghost. As the body falls, everyone watches in confusion. Egg is also completely baffled by her spectral state. The system announces that the avatars offered her original body to him. He is left stunned by how absurd this is. Still, he accepts the offer and the system confirms the Gemini avatars surrender. These warriors now serve Ophiuchus. John can finally assign a brand new name to each of them. This already feels like a total mess. John admits he is too lazy, so he names them based on their rank. Basically, Brother 1, Brother 2, and Brother 3. The system confirms the names, and even the avatars cannot believe it. Then John grabs her by the neck, reminding her that her goddess abandoned her, so she better answer him correctly. I know what you are thinking, but she swears she has absolutely no clue about that attack on the Demon Tower. Our main character presses her forehead with energy, making her scream. He explains it is a fragment of the Abyss Storm Scythe. He warns her it can burn even her very soul, demanding she spit out the truth. But she still claims complete ignorance. He asks if she prefers acting tough, while her spirit gets tortured without a single shred of mercy. The others watch in absolute terror as that power spreads. Even the Spirit Queen hides herself, looking completely terrified. Hugo shields himself, doubting if she is telling the truth. Desperate, she suddenly confesses it was probably Virgo's doing. Begging him to release her, she mentions Virgo, causing our main character's expression to turn incredibly dark. The Abyss Scythe fragment shatters, and he releases her angrily. He adds it would have been painless had she spoken sooner, but for the useful info, he will return her body. She is shocked to still be alive, but immediately asks what is going on. A second later, everything goes totally wrong. The Spirit Queen hijacks the body and thanks him. While it was not exactly how she expected to be freed, she truly appreciates his unexpected kindness. Jane laughs awkwardly, admitting his massive blunder. He accidentally gave the body to Queen Rar, who immediately clings tightly to him. Yofa explodes with jealousy instantly, and the others have to hold her back. Later on, the scene shifts to Hugo's house. Yang, trapped inside a teddy bear, says it is useless to fix this. Someone asks what he means by that. Yang explains that he can easily see tons of rotten clauses and completely broken magic contracts. The system identifies a special rank contract made by Virgo. Jian has taken over everything Yang previously controlled. Yang says they are sorting everything out and asks him for more soul records, planning to upgrade them all to double S rank. Yang stares intently at our main character while John smiles and tells Ray Micken to proceed, which makes her pretty happy. But something else catches Jian's eye. Looking over, he sees Ag crying, trapped in her statue and surrounded by figures of him. In her spiritual form, she desperately begs him to finally release her once and for all. A new skill becomes available called Serpent Contract. He can let one offense slide, but never three. As he doubts this power, someone celebrates becoming his avatar. Trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are about to watch our main character's brand new avatars shower him with praise, saying it is a true honor to serve him. Suddenly, everyone starts praising and flattering him, and then the avatars he won in the last chapter finally make their big entrance. They stare in absolute awe while Hugo admits he has never seen this before, since avatars are usually incredibly proud. This immediately triggers them, and they snap at poor Hugo, demanding to know how he dares interrupt while they serve the great Jian. Hugo gets downgraded to a simple servant, but our main character makes things worse by pointing out that everyone is completely wrong. Hugo is not a servant, he's a slave, which offends them even more, as they question how a mere slave dares speak before the majestic Jian. Our hero cuts off the bickering and asks them directly why they abandoned Gemini just to come crawling to him. They claim they could not stand the constant abuse from the Gemini goddess, but under his doubtful glare they admit the real truth. They saw him completely destroy her. Jian remembers exactly when he defeated the goddess, and how everyone celebrated, so he appreciates that they are finally being honest with him. They reveal they are not alone, because the commander and other avatars also want to surrender to his immense power. However, the commander is trapped beneath the Holy Domain Sea, and they add that humanity has already lost over half its territory to the Calamities. At first glance, the Saints and the Calamities seem pretty evenly matched. But the truth is much worse, and pay close attention here because they cannot even begin to reclaim that lost land. Jun thinks it over and figures if he is in the sea near the Yin Yang Palace, he must be in the ocean beyond. That puts him extremely close to enemy territory, so he decides to pay a visit and check out the situation for himself. The avatars kneel down and declare that by submitting to Jian, they swear absolute loyalty and offer him their very lives. Our hero happily accepts while Yuka giggles and mentions that this is just so typical of her beloved uncle. Even high-ranking avatars fear him, which is crazy before she casually drops that she is glad she proposed marriage to him. The second she says those words, both John and Hugo freeze, and Hugo slowly turns to him with a dark, terrifying glare. Hugo demands to know what that means, but our hero can only look confused as a very important reminder pops up on screen. If you are enjoying the video, hit that like button, leave a supportive comment, and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. Now let us continue the story. You probably remember the last video ended right when our main character was talking to his 3 new subordinates who watched him closely. Out of nowhere, she blurts out she's glad she asked him to marry her, causing Hugo to snap while Jian freezes in total shock. An enraged Hugo demands an explanation about this whole marriage thing, wanting to know what the hell is going on here. To make things worse, Yang pipes up from behind, joking about whether this officially makes Hugo the father-in-law of Jian. What a disastrous family, he thinks, but Hugo immediately fires a flaming arrow that obliterates the head of Yang's bear costume. The poor guy runs away crying his eyes out, begging Hugo to put the bow down so they can talk like civilized people. But Hugo roars that his own daughter has never even told him she loves him, not even on Father's Day, so how dare she propose? The system immediately warns that the Sagittarius Saint is enraged, unleashing a massive rain of flaming arrows straight at Jian. Our hero easily dodges the attacks while Hugo screams uncontrollably that he is sorry, but today, Jian has to die. The furious Sagittarius Saint activates his invincibility and charges fiercely at Jian, who still has absolutely no idea what is happening. Okay, I know what you are thinking. Is he seriously that mad? Well, watch our hero analyze Hugo's insane magic with God's Eye. Then he closes his eyes and starts catching those high-speed arrows with his bare hands, but Hugo is not stopping for anything. He launches another massive storm of projectiles straight at Jian. He keeps firing volley after volley, but right before impact, Jian blocks them all effortlessly and asks if he is just an annoying fly. By telling him to stop bothering him, he utterly humiliates the Sagittarius Saint, and his hostility finally cools down. The system announces he gained a massive amount of experience from God's throne, but an angry Hugo activates his sovereign skill, Ring of the Sun God. He is really going all out. Apollo, the Sagittarius patron god, asks him if it is really okay to wreck the house, especially since John is still paying the mortgage. The whole place is turning into rubble because of his rampage, but Hugo does not care and continues attacking mercilessly. Meanwhile, John realizes this guy is exactly like a certain acquaintance, willing to burn down his own home even when completely broke. It reminds him of his first encounter with Jian Sungj, who also trashed his apartment, when suddenly Yuka desperately screams at her dad to stop. And trust me, you and I know she is not worried about John, but because her dad stands zero chance against him. Stick with me, you are about to watch this girl absolutely destroy her own father with a savage roast. He was completely frozen. He finally calms down and lowers his bow, but John marches over, calls him an idiot, and delivers a brutal smack to his head. You are finally awake, man. Why get so mad over childish stuff? Do I really look like someone who would mess with my best friend's daughter? You actually wrecked your own mansion over that nonsense. You are a total idiot. They struggle to express their feelings, but they adore you. They even brought gifts. Dad, we are home. We are finally back. You are awake. I brought strawberry cake and your favorite coffee. Hugo's practically crying tears of joy seeing all this delicious food. He lunges straight to snatch the cake, but Sunjay swiftly dodges, sending Hugo flying right past him. Meanwhile, John is already devouring the cake. Hugo desperately tries to claw it back, but our main character easily evades him every time. In the chaos, the poor man wrecks half the house. Later, Yang ends up covered in stitches once again under Yuka's watchful gaze. Now watch closely, this is where things get serious. Her phone vibrates with a red catastrophe alert, freezing her in place. The giant centipede monster has emerged. Every single Templar force is ordered to deploy for battle immediately. Our story now shifts to the outskirts of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. Lightning crashes violently from the sky, while terrified soldiers whisper that a red alert is pure horror. Can we even survive this? But there are so many of us here, we will definitely win. Do not fear danger always brings a massive opportunity. Even without our saint, we will win this battle with our own hands. Just then, an imposing figure descends from the heavens. The Leo Saint is here. This is how our faction rises to prove that humanity is marching forward into the future. The crowd roars in excitement, but Yo covers her ears in annoyance, wishing she could just go home right now. She only wanted to see Uncle John, sensing that something is seriously off about this place. We cut to soldiers wearing masks. Inside a nearby tent, an old man mutters that those guys are just brainless, violent savages. They mask their terror with raw brute force, but I do not care. I only wonder if they received my special gift yet. We head back to Hugo's wrecked mansion. The one who just arrived is Yumi Yoan, the saint's incredibly loyal secretary. It has been so long, my lord. How have you been? Why is your home completely destroyed? What on earth happened here? My goodness, look at that ceiling. Hugo, sulking in a corner, begs her not to ask, claiming it was absolutely necessary. You're tuning into the live broadcast too, right? By the way, they sent Yuvo there. What is inside that box? I found it outside. This is no ordinary package. Suddenly, a loud voice screams from inside, demanding to see that little brat. The scene shifts to Jian at the forge. Another precious material shatters, and the system warns him his tool is too low level. You and I both know the pain of wasted resources. Ruined again. To craft his ultimate item, he needs top-tier equipment. The weapon Jian just ruined was a rare dagger. Damn, this hammer has officially reached its crafting limit. What a pain. I lost my legendary hammer and have absolutely no clue where it ended up over the last 20 years. Crafting anything decent with slime mud is impossible. I need to secure some proper weapons before going to fight Virgo. And just when you thought things were quiet, an intruder from another zodiac invades Jian's sanctuary. Is that Hugo? It has been a long time, Hugo. I am Seven Village. This mysterious voice is coming from a goat-headed speaker. What kind of joke is this? You have terrible taste, you old goat. This seems like classic nonsense from Yang, who looks totally confused. Why drag me into your mess? Jian approaches with his hammer, muttering that he expected a dangerous intruder. But it is just this old goat. It has been far too long, Creator. I am glad you are safe. The woman next to him is completely lost. I am Seven Village Vladimir of Capricorn. Remember me. Oh, right, Sebastian. Our main character replies. Here's the critical context. This old man is the Capricorn saint, and just like a Han, he is a master craftsman. Ever since Jian vanished from the map, almost every legendary weapon in existence has been forged by him. He is that big mustached old man we saw earlier. The screen displays the jaw-dropping equipment he recently created. And his newest invention is that goat speaker. I'm glad to see you are doing well. The reason for my visit is, but John grabs the metal head, cutting him off to demand an apology for the past. He tosses the speaker into the air and smashes it in one hit. Hugo asks if they are really going to ignore his warning. That old guy always talks absolute nonsense. Who shows up to offer materials with such an arrogant attitude? We might as well watch the live raid broadcast. His annoying personality has not changed one bit. And that is how we gear up for the Sagittarius Saints official debut. Trust me, you and I cannot miss what happens next. Serge Vladimir Ivan and Vladimir Ian. Let's dive in and watch these powerful agents gather, including House Leo's Ilhan Prabha and his spear. Vice Saint Yoha and Captain Oliver are ready to lead this brutal battle. The transformation magic experts and the naval strategists of Pisces have also arrived. Taurus, the absolute iron wall defending the front lines, is already in position. In Aquarius, the saint who can repel bombs with divine power joins the squad. Plus, Capricorn, the master of weapon crafting and upgrades, just showed up. Troops from all over have gathered for this war plan. And right on cue, the Saint of Capricorn makes his entrance. What on earth is that old man doing there? Looks like the Saint of Capricorn is up to something shady. He raises his hands to the sky and summons John's hammer. That old thief actually has the divine relic of Capricorn. He summoned the hammer that guarantees total success. Wait, wasn't that the tool you used to own? Capricorn, the master craftsman, will use that hammer to buff the sacred artifacts before the war even begins. He starts forging with John's tool, earning wild cheers from the crowd. This saint's upgrading skills are famous worldwide. Yeah, right, shut up. The kid next to him covers his ears, calling him a dirty old man. I was already mad he stole my weapon, and now he is showing off with it. How pathetic. I will beat him up before dealing with Virgo. I am leaving right now to crush that damn old geezer. John bolts instantly, exactly like the woman said. Now pay close attention, because a terrifying calamity strikes as a colossal monster rises from the deep ocean. This beast is massive with a giant gaping mouth. Everyone freezes in pure shock before it roars at the sky. It is the Thousand Hands Calamity Danger Level Red. All units get ready to fight. Wait a second. What? There's something hanging from one of its tentacles. Looking closely, it is Stephen. He is clinging tightly to the beast. Isn't that Stephen Mark? And somehow, he is still clutching the bone that Guff broke in the last episode. Drop my bone, you filthy monster. Good grief, he is risking his life for a bone. Well, he did pay $1 billion for it. Even now, he refuses to let go. Seriously, he is obsessed. Lord Castellan, please get out of there and control yourself. What are you doing, Bishop Oliver? The Saint of Leo and the Thousand Hands appeared together. Why are you just standing there? That useless old man wants to steal my leadership and take all the credit. Either way, I was already going to order the attack. Let's watch as the lions drink their buff potions to fight. They down the liquid from their vials. At the exact same time, the Pisces faction activates their support skills. Underwater breathing wave resonance and ocean surge. Aquarius apply combat health mobility and defense buffs now. Taurus form the defensive line in the rear and stop those calamities from ever touching the shore. Then the Leo warrior leaps forward, shouting, "Get ready to fight, you beasts! Lions charge!" They charge straight at the creature at full speed. As lightning crashes around them, their beast transformation begins. The system alerts bestialization activated. You have obtained the power of a raging beast. The Leo warriors turn into tigers and panthers to maul the monster. The beast assault squad advances. Meanwhile, Aquarius keeps casting blessings, stacking up even more buffs on the front lines. Yua takes charge, activating the Guild Union skill. A massive lion of pure energy launches toward the calamity with devastating force. And at that moment, the transformed warriors charge and surrounding the beast. But Stephen is still hanging there with his bone, yelling at everyone to shut up until he gets it back. Lord Castellan, stop playing the fool and stay still. The two keep bickering right in the middle of chaos. What the heck? Forget about that bone already. Shut up, I am getting it back. Seriously, what is even going on over there? At this rate, our men will die because of that idiot. Wait, Vice Captain Yua, are you still here? She shouldn't ruin the plan just to save that foolish lion, but given the situation, she has no choice. She readies herself as red lightning surges around her body. The girls nearby shout, "Wait, let us buff you first." I do not need them. With a freezing glare, she dashes forward at full speed towards Stephen and his precious bone. And before anyone can even react, Yua cleanly slices through the monster's tentacle. Mission successful. Stephen splashes into the water, clutching his bone, coughing and spitting out water everywhere. Then Yua steps right on his face and dunks him under again. Everyone watches this in total disbelief. She cleared a massive distance in one leap and sliced the beast. Trust me, she left us all completely speechless. All right, you and I are diving straight into this absolute chaos. She is still standing firm on Taurus despite his protests, firing everyone up to finally end this calamity. So they unleash everything they have. Physical strikes, powerful magic, and wild bursts of purple energy. Suddenly, the monster stops to summon a massive wave. It is a devastating tsunami. Everyone find cover right now. The Taurus Templars activate their impenetrable wall formation. Wait, what was that? Did a volcano just erupt? Look over there. The beast charges straight at the troops, causing absolute panic. The old man mutters that against a threat this massive, they have no other choice left. But right then, someone from behind cuts in. Hey, what exactly is that in your hand? It is a detonator. I rigged the entire coast with explosives. The old man shivers, turning around completely terrified at that voice. In that split second, Jian slaps his hand away. Meanwhile, the slime lunges forward, opening its giant mouth to attack. And in one bite, it swallows the old man whole. Man, Sebastian, you are a real pain. I get that those soldiers in the water are only buying time since they cannot defeat it. But is it not absolute madness to blow them sky high along with the calamity? Hold still. For the first time in 20 years, I am going to teach you how to properly slice octopus sashimi. Pay close attention here, because we see Jin Yuri running across the water while remembering the key records of this raid. For the Thousand Arms raid, you must dash quickly through the 1,000 tentacles, slicing any you cannot dodge with a single strike. Yuri keeps running skillfully, dodging every single tentacle. As she moves, memories rush back, just like with Jian in his last battle. 20 years ago, she was tearing through tentacles, and now his image appears clearly in her mind. She is truly fierce. If she fought Hugo, he would definitely lose. She pauses for a second, realizing that once she gets close to the main body, she must stab its eyes with whatever weapon she has. So she grips her spear tightly, aiming for a direct strike right into the creature's eye. Red lightning crackles from her spear as she unleashes a devastating attack called Lotus Flash, but something unexpected catches her off guard. Looking up, she realizes the monster blocked her spear with just a single tentacle. What? How did it stop that so easily? The beast glares, holding the weapon, and whips another tentacle straight at her. Just in time, Steven grabs her and pulls her out of danger. Everyone watches the horrific scene as the soldiers all around are torn apart, desperately screaming out for help. I know what you are thinking. What would John do here? Of course, jump straight into danger with his greatsword. Wait a second, someone just dashed past them with a blade. It is our main character charging full force at the monster. The beast roars, but Jian draws his blade and unleashes a storm of slashes, shredding the giant octopus with his mountain eruption skill. A massive hole pierces right through the center of the monster. Oops, I guess I went a little too far. The onlookers are frozen solid and someone yells in the back. Gon, how did you get here? Why so surprised? I only came to give a little demo. You guys were struggling way too much with a weak monster like this. Shut up. You only showed up at the end to steal the kill. We would have won alone, but suddenly the octopus snatches John, shocking everyone. The creature pulls its massive mouth closer to him, ready to swallow him whole. For a moment, he reacts too, while Hugo screams out for our main character in panic as the others wonder what on earth they can do now. Is anyone even capable of killing this beast? To make matters worse, smaller octopus-like creatures are gathering down below. They all start shrieking with their mouths twisting in bizarre ways. But right then, Jian summons his power, and a spear flies from the ground into his hand. He grips it firmly, and the monster instantly senses the overwhelming pressure radiating from his body. That presence alone makes the beast shrink back. His energy turns wild and utterly overwhelming. Jian spins the spear, shouting Leaf Baptism skill. He then unleashes another massive attack that completely shreds the monster to pieces. The onlookers can only watch frozen in utter shock. Amidst all this absolute destruction, John remains standing tall. Good thing about big enemies is there is more to cut. Whether they have 1,000 legs or arms, they are still just octopuses. The creature is left with a massive wound on its body, and John tells them he has already sliced it to bits. The rest is up to them. Good grief, an event has just occurred that will be talked about for many years. Key, the returned hero, defeated the Thousand Arms. My reputation is going down the drain, but whatever. The crowd roars with joy. Inspiring amazing stories and memorable, great deeds truly have the power to make people absolutely worship you. A book appears pulsing with energy and printed lines of text, while the system announces the creation of a Bible of focus recording and passing down your epic achievements. Even the constellations are amazed by this powerful holy book. What an incredible story you and I just witnessed today, right? Come with me as we see this start with a distant shout calling Yuka, who happily greets John, but Hugo might ruin everything. A second later, someone runs up to ask if she's okay. She says yes, but a sigh from our main character catches her attention. Wait, what is that on your back? Did you seriously carry all of that by yourself? Hugo gets incredibly nervous and lies, saying there is absolutely nothing there. Then Jian asks if she is also obsessed with bones. So collecting bones is a Leo thing. Hugo quickly denies it, making up an excuse that she's only keeping it because it is valuable. Either way, our main character shows her the shattered remains of her spear, the exact weapon she used to take down that monster. He admits he broke it and promises to forge her a new one soon. Her face lights up instantly, a weapon made by Uncle Hugo. I would love that. Right then, Steven pops out of nowhere, grabbing her while shouting how awesome that sounds. The three freeze and Yual looks totally annoyed. Have you completely lost your mind? Why are you screaming like that, you total idiot? Steven insists he has a reason to celebrate, as Leo's Cardinal Jin Yuri is under his command and now John is going to forge her a weapon. So Steven demands one too. Hearing this, our main character looks highly irritated, but Steven keeps pushing him almost to his absolute limit. But watch closely now, because a massive burst of power suddenly erupts right behind Jian. It is a giant goat, Steven screams in shock, asking if our main character can now trigger explosions just by talking. Do you seriously have no limits? He angrily snaps back that it was not him as a thick yellow fog starts covering the battlefield. Panic erupts immediately. People scream and beg for help as some of them actually begin to transform. Damn it, what is happening here? They are turning into mutant beasts with glowing green eyes. Someone screams in terror, asking what is wrong with them. Suddenly, one of the beasts lunges forward and bites a soldier. Absolutely nobody understands what is going on. The forces of Leo are completely out of control, attacking the Taurus faction directly, as everyone demands to know what caused that explosion. The old goat arrogantly replies that it was his special bomb, though he complains that the blast was actually weaker than he expected. Turning around, they see that miserable old goat in robotic armor smiling and declaring that the explosion was just a warm welcome. He says all of this while holding Lime tightly in one hand. Jin fiercely demands to know right now what he did to Lime. Meanwhile, a deeply confused Steven questions him about the bomb, asking if he really planted it right where his own men were fighting. The old man cuts him off completely, saying he is not surprised that every Leo warrior caught in the blast went totally insane. I know what you're thinking, this old bastard is pure evil. He just laughs, praising John for always catching on so quickly. He decides to show them something far more interesting. The old man blows a whistle, sending a massive sonic wave through the entire area. At that signal, the mutated Leo soldiers react in unison and charge directly toward John and the old man. They all swarm and grab Yua and our protagonist, forcing them violently to the ground. The old man mocks Jian, asking how he will solve this, since he has no strength left to resist after so many battles. Checkmate. The beasts pin him down along with Yua, while Steven glares with pure rage at the old man. The goat confesses it feels incredibly satisfying to see Jian pinned down and defeated. Steven curses him furiously, demanding to know what he did to his men. Why will they not obey him? The old man explains that Steven, our protagonist, and Yubi were saved because they never drank his potion. That brew he handed out at the start of the battle was actually a drug designed to control the entire army. He claims the potion Steven's men drank reacts to his masterpiece, meaning they will now only obey orders dictated by his whistle. Steven roars in despair, demanding that he change them back to normal. The goat tells him to calm down. If he wants his men back, he first needs to listen to his proposal. Then he throws Jian's sword down, and Steven looks at it in shock. Is that not our protagonist's weapon? The old man nods and makes an offer. He claims it is an offer that is impossible to refuse. Take that sword and murder Jian. Steven asks why he wants our protagonist dead so badly and why he should obey. The goat insists he has no choice if he wants to save them. He already felt the massive difference in power compared to our protagonist, and the old man felt the gap between his blacksmithing and Jian's. The more hardships they face, the clearer they see how unreachable and solid those massive walls truly are. Walls that are impossible to scale. He calls this Steven's golden opportunity and promises to fully back him up. He will forge the ultimate weapon exclusively for Steven. If they join forces, they can tear John down once and for all. That way, it will only be a matter of time before Steven becomes the strongest of all 12 cardinals. Steven pulls the sword from the ground as Yua screams for him to stop. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Get ready, because you and I are about to witness the ultimate betrayal today. She warns him never to touch our main character while Steven slowly approaches the leader. The old blacksmith urges him to use his ultimate weapon to finish it, but Steven turns around shouting that he does not need dirty tricks to defeat Jian. Unlike you, I do not plan on stealing his throne with such cheap strategies. He flips the old man off, leaving him utterly speechless. The elder roars in pure rage, but Steven boasts that he has already surpassed our main character completely. He only needs a weapon as powerful as his, so he tells the old man to stop comparing him to such trash. Then he mocks him even more cruelly, asking how someone unable to defeat the main character could ever forge a worthy weapon. Right now, Steven is absolutely crushing the old man's pride, with incredibly sharp, painful words. The old man hesitates for a second, but Steven charges straight ahead, shattering his armor and leaving him in absolute shock. Screaming at him not to be arrogant, the elder activates his protective armor, unleashing a barrage of missiles that triggers a massive explosion. He boasts that even the great Leo is no match for his masterpiece. But then Steven transforms into a massive lion and charges. He admits that 20 years ago, he really did have a massive inferiority complex, just like the old man claimed. However, he overcame that a long time ago, training relentlessly with the sole purpose of finally surpassing Jian's incredible power. Thunderclaws watch closely because his blinding speed is about to turn that impenetrable armor into absolute dust. Steven continues his fierce assault, acknowledging the durability of the Capricorn gear, right before ripping the chestplate clean off. He faced that world-ending calamity without any real gear, so he demands the old coward stop hiding behind heavy metal. The old man shakes in pure panic. Suddenly, John interrupts calmly, asking when they will finish fighting, freezing Steven right in his tracks. How are you still free? Our main character replies that he only let himself get captured to hear their plans, but he's already sick of listening to their annoying chatter. Those weak beastmen stood absolutely zero chance of holding him back. The old man and Yua are completely stunned by this ridiculous scene. How did he escape so easily? Well, John does not care at all. Jian casually shoves the old man aside and sends Steven flying away with a single kick. We flash back a few minutes when the beasts were still holding our main character while Steven argued loudly. John was already incredibly bored listening to them and decided to take matters into his own hands. This is way too annoying. The leader simply stands right up, leaving the beast holding him completely dazed and utterly confused. Looking thoroughly annoyed, Jian directly asks them when they actually plan to finish their ridiculous fight. And at that exact second, he materialized right next to them. The narrator explains that 20 years ago, right before the Devil's Tower, someone claimed with a wicked smile that the main character would die right there. John reacts instantly, remembering that sounds exactly like the prophecy Hugo received from his saintess. But the truth is entirely different. I know what you are thinking, but this is not just some prediction, it is a real setup to kill him, while the old man grins. But our main character completely loses his patience and cuts him off, stating that he does not care about old memories. He demands to know who tried to murder him, instead of listening to ancient history. Feeling the intense pressure, the old man panics. He agrees to talk but demands protection in exchange for everything. John grabs him instantly coldly, warning that he still does not grasp his dire situation. He has absolutely no right to negotiate if he keeps wasting his time with useless excuses. Jian threatens to rip his tongue right out. Terrified, the old blacksmith suddenly confesses that Virgo is behind the whole thing again. This perfectly matches what the Purple Witch said earlier, suggesting that Virgo was the true mastermind behind this entire operation. So Virgo's the ultimate mastermind behind everything. John decides he must find Mong again to check the analysis of the dagger used against him. He will let this slide for now, but demands all his belongings back. The Hammer of Achievements belongs to him. The old man is left utterly speechless. Are you really taking that too? With no other choice, the Capricorn Saint hands over the Relic of Achievements. Jan looks highly satisfied, while the Saint shakes with rage and deep regret over losing his legendary hammer. Our main character mocks his pathetic face and immediately summons the three brothers, who instantly answer his call. He orders them to drag the old man to his dimension, giving them permission to break his bones if they must, as long as he stays alive. The old man is horrified to see John commanding avatars. Did you not just become a simple saint? You have actually become the god of a brand new constellation. The poor old man is brutally dragged away without any mercy. Do not think I will ever forgive you. Suddenly, Leo's group begins to wake up, complaining of intense headaches. They are relieved, but you and I know that the real torment for Capricorn is only just starting. Listen up, you and I are about to see what happens when they lose their saintess. Out of options, they trigger a new armor upgrade just to survive. A system overrides and suddenly the whole place starts blowing up. Turns out they forgot our saintess sabotaged their gear. Furious, they scream they'll drag everyone straight to hell. Prince, seriously, do not do that. Fire the marmot projectile. And boom, the creature launches a volley of torpedoes right at him. As a missile locks onto him, he scoffs, "Is this your little toy? Some kind of marmot? A marmot over here? A marmot over there?" What is a marmot? Anyway, using the relic of the guaranteed victory hammer, you can modify any eligible target. Please select a target. The new target will be the marmot. Watch closely. Our main character smashes the torpedo with his hammer, unleashing a brutal light beam. Target modified successfully. That deadly marmot bomb just turned into gorgeous fireworks. Just like that, he turns a lethal threat into a light show. Wait, what? The explosive is literally just sparklers now. Damn it. But right then, a claw slams down as someone roars. How dare you use and discard us? What now? What is happening? They actually survive too. We beastmen are tough to crack and incredibly hard to put down. If that stupid marmot bomb was still active, we'd be in trouble. But now it's just pretty lights. It won't even scratch us. Wait, please. The guy runs off terrified, while Steven loses his mind, swearing he won't let them escape no matter what. I bet you didn't see this coming. Steven asks for something massive to throw, but John just asks, why even bother? Then he eyes Steven up and down with a devilish grin. Actually, I've already got the perfect projectile. Hey, why are you looking at me like that? I've got a bad feeling about this. Next thing you know, Steven gets launched airborne. Gian hurls him straight at the enemies, scoring a perfect strike as bodies go flying in every direction. Maybe I should take up bowling. He stares intently at Steven's foot before dropping the poor, knocked out kid onto the dirt. Even so, his eyes remain glued to the weird object stuck to Steven's foot. He lets go, muttering, no way I'm touching that. Pretty epic wrap-up for us, right?